Nah, that's definitely not it.
All right, we should be live any second. I think we are live now. I'm going to tweet out and then we'll get this party started. Whoa, what just happened? Oh man, are
Oh,
you
let
kidding
me
me?
let me open my Twitter. Once a week, I do this on Fridays.
Oh my god, I
What?
just deleted it somehow.
What'd you delete?
My tweet that I had made up.
No, it's
Wow.
there. 13 seconds ago. It's already out.
Oh,
Oh,
you already posted it.
okay.
Whoa.
Perfect.
You know how I know that? Because nothing else is on my feed. I'm a
Yeah,
really good Twitterer.
we're all horrible at it, but I
I
do
don't
it.
think I've used Twitter in like 6 months or something, so you guys know more than me. I'm just
Yeah.
I'll answer people if they tweet at me, but like I always am like I'll do a random thought every here and there, but I'm still just not the best at it. There's so many
The
people
worst
that
is
are
when
like
Bob's
tweeting
been
every day.
drinking and I see him like reading Twitter and like frantically typing. I'm like, you probably want to
She's
do
like, put it
that
away, put it away, put it away.
tomorrow. Mm, I'm gonna
I
regret
I
whatever
do
that
the
says.
same thing with YouTube comments. Like, I remember I left a comment on one of yours one time, Hamsterwheel, and like I didn't mean it asinine, but rereading it the next day, it definitely was asinine. It was the
Oh, he
video
remembers, Bob.
where you I mean he gets tons of
I'm
comments though,
kidding.
What'd
but
you
I
say,
know.
Bob?
so it was the one where you did how much does world buffs affect DPS? And by the end
oh
of
yeah
it,
yeah
I
yeah
was like, "Where's Warrior? The
yeah
class that gets so much, blah blah blah." And then
yeah.
your fans just attacked me and berated me, and the next day I was like, "Yeah, I probably deserve that." But then you came back a couple days later and was like, "Dude, I just don't play Warrior, and I just didn't
Yeah,
think it'd be
that's
good." And I was like, "That's totally fair. That's totally
that
fair."
is like I cannot do the warrior class justice. I've had like one other test with like warriors before, but the DPS was way lower than it should be simply because I don't know what it is. I look up the rotation. I think I do the rotation okay-ish, but I don't know. I just
Yeah.
for some reason melee is just something I don't know. It's not my mojo, so to say.
Well, it just made
So
so much sense. I was like, "Well, that makes complete sense." Okay.
yeah, I suck at it.
I feel like an asshole for even asking.
No, it's fine. It's like if I mean to be fair, world buffs. I think yeah, warriors were probably like the number one class that got the most benefits. I think, but so yeah,
Yeah,
many
it's
other
just
people asked the
nuts.
question. So yeah, it's not very weird you asked.
Yeah, I think the reason is just the rage generation goes from having to constantly cancel heroic strike to get rage to never being able to use all of your rage. So you're just hitting buttons as soon as they're off cooldown. Like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
It
it's almost
feels
like
so
yeah.
good. Like compared to like without, it feels so bad.
Yeah,
Eh,
boom,
eh,
boom, boom. It definitely wasn't heroic strike hit bloodthirst. Heroic strike hit bloodthirst. And a
Don't
6
forget
second
your
cooldown.
whirlwind. Don't forget your whirlwind.
We were barely whirlwinding by the end.
Yeah, because heroic strike ended up starting to take over.
Yeah. Let's do a podcast.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this is just for me, um, so I know where we started. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, TBC Classic, and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and today we're joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
You, al-
It's early. I'm supposed to still be at work, so
you always have such a pause on the live version. I usually cut it out, but it's like you just
She's
pause for a
Well,
unmuting.
second.
She's
because I have to
unmuting during because you
unmute,
mute
and
during
I
the
and
intro.
I never know if I get to go first or if it's Yip. So I should just assume it's me. I mean, obviously, but
well,
sometimes you have to make Yip feel better.
well, speaking of that, we have Ryan, aka Yip, aka Cognitive Pit. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. And for more clarification, we have notes that have an order. It just Bob always just
Right.
randomizes it, even though there's notes with an order. So we never know.
I don't want to
See,
make anybody feel bad. I got to give everybody their day in the sun.
Well, hey, change it in the notes so we're and
yeah, help me prepare. I'm so prepared for this usually, like
And we are also joined for the first time by very special guest, YouTube extraordinaire Hamsterwheel. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, man. Thanks for having me, and excited to talk about World of Warcraft.
Yeah, we are excited to have you. I've probably watched every single one of your videos because when Classic came out, I didn't think I was going to be so into it, but a week in, I was like nuts, and I just binged everything that had been created for like the 6 years prior. So you had a lot of videos on there.
Yeah. It was awesome. I just gotta ask you guys: did you guys play original vanilla or?
Yes, we
Yeah.
did. Yes,
Oh,
we did.
okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mel and I were hardcore raiders, like server first and server second type of guild. We
Wow.
only
I was
got
a child.
Yip was a child, but we did only get 4 bosses in Nax down. It was just because the guild just started to fall apart, and
Okay.
like tried to gear new people up at the end there. With knowing
Yeah,
that
I get
TBC
it,
was
yeah.
coming out, we were just like, no, and it just fell apart. But we
What
did
was
do
the name
almost
of your
everything.
guild?
God, what was it? I've tried to remember this so many times. We were on Burning Legion and we were Alliance, and the Horde Guild. There was a Horde Guild that was better than us, that would pretty much beat us most of the time.
Do you remember their name?
No,
I was wondering maybe the like enemy aspect of it.
I don't
will,
even remember
11 years
our.
ago. I don't even remember what I had for lunch. Like,
11
Yeah,
years
It was
ago.
15 years ago.
15
like
years
6
ago.
Yeah.
I don't blame you if your memory's a little jaded. Like, it's really hard.
Well, and 16 years ago now, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is a long time ago.
I don't
Yep.
even remember our guild in Wrath. But the other day, I was talking to Melissa's brother, and he remembered the name, and I was like, "Oh my god, how do you remember the name
wasn't it
of the
Tenacity?
guild?" No, that was our guild at the start in Wrath when we were just doing 10-mans
Oh.
with our friends, and then we joined. We couldn't stand just doing casual, so we joined the bigger guild.
This is our problem. This is why I didn't want to come back to Classic, because I know what it does to me, right? Like, I am not okay with just like kind of playing. Like, that's just not
You
in my
guys have
DNA.
crazy
All or
experience.
nothing.
I never rag on you guys because I want you guys to really just get out there and talk about your experiences in vanilla. But every time you're like, we put in 80-hour work weeks in BWL, I'm like, okay, like don't do that. Just give up.
You're muted, Bob.
Yeah, it was more like 40 hours, but it
I
was
know. I'm
definitely
exaggerating.
nuts.
You guys are in there
It
40
wasn't
hours doing
even
BWL.
40 hours.
It
It was like
was-
5 hours a day.
It was usually 5 to 6 hours a night, 5 days a week.
Okay.
Right. So
Damn.
25.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
But
no
then
wonder you
sometimes
wouldn't want to
we
come
would
back.
go 8 hours. Like sometimes we would go 8-hour sessions because everybody wanted to be in these guilds because they were the only ones, progressing. So at the end of the night, like they're like, "Well, we need you to stay," and it was like, it wasn't like a request. It was like, "Stay, or you're not gonna be in the raid tomorrow."
That's interesting. It's interesting that is an approach. I guess that's like the world first approach, but for me, I don't know. I grew up playing drums, and every time I was stuck, I would take a break and come back because like I don't know, like it just helps. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like if
that's
you're
the
in there
definitely
8
does.
hours,
That's
I
the
feel like
difference
you
between
gotta.
an individual, though, and a group
Yeah,
sport, right? Like,
that could be.
you can't be at like soccer practice and be like, this isn't working. Let's regroup in
Yeah.
3 hours. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah,
think
but
that's
dying
the
to
difference. It was
spouse, for
so
instance, is a individual skill, not a team skill.
no, but I think it was just like there were so many mechanics and stuff, and like every time
Yeah.
you'd go, the reason I think we would go long is because every time you do it, you'd do one thing better, right? And you'd
Okay, if
realize
you're,
that
if
you
you're
were
Yeah, it
improving
was
the whole
true
time,
so
yeah.
like it
progression.
wasn't just like smashing your head against the wall. It was just like you got one more mechanic down and now there's another one, and
Yeah.
then you just want to keep going because you're like,
And
we're gonna
then-
get it this time, and then you realize
And
you're
then you
like,
get
"Oh my
3
God."
past, and then you start messing up the mechanic that you fixed 3 mechanics prior. I mean, it's like it was true progression, and
Okay, well, I just went through classic vanilla, so you're not going to sell me on this mechanics thing you're talking about.
It was a totally different
it
game.
was,
I'll-
it
I'll
was a
believe
totally
that.
different game.
Yeah, the
Different
mechanics
gear,
of
everything.
the mechanics of your ping and
Well, and just
Yeah.
just gear was just wonky too for
Yeah.
like a lot of vanilla. I know Hamster knows that because he's done a lot
Yeah.
of videos on it, but it was a completely different gear set.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
I'm
the
definitely not saying it's easy.
tier 2 boots gave you like +10 frost damage. Like what the hell is this?
Yeah, it's so it just
It's
is so
so
weird.
crazy.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying I would have given up. That's all. Because we wiped our fair share in Classic, so I can only
Mhm.
imagine on
I
high
gave up when
ping
I
and
I gave up when I started grad school. I was like, nope, I
Yep.
can't do both. It's just, that's it.
Yeah.
That's where I've got to draw the
Yeah.
line.
And
Yeah.
no one ever. We always talk about information. No one ever talks about just like a lot of us have been hitting buttons for 15 years now, as opposed
Yeah,
to when WoW
very
came out.
true.
We're like, how do you hit a button? Like, how do I click on buttons? Like, I don't know how to even I don't even know how to engage with this medium yet. It's the first time I'm
And then
using
you got
WASD. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
Everyone's
macros.
Yeah, but not to mention even the PCs. Like I don't know about you guys, but I had a like average gaming PC, and
Mhm.
when I had World of Warcraft, it was like my computer suffered. It did not like Orgrimmar. It did not like raids. I was the guy that had to look down as a healer to increase my
Oh,
FPS. Like
yeah.
it was.
Yeah, see, I was lucky because I was early on in my IT career and making a good chunk of change. So I
Oh,
had a
that's
good
nice.
computer, and then Mel always used my hand-me-down computer, which was always pretty good when I upgraded. So
He
we
says
had it pretty
always
good.
like this has changed,
I know, I
right? Like
literally
this
just got
is
a new
not
PC and gave her my old
changed. He
one.
just got a new PC and he tries to justify it every time he does it. He's like, and then you can upgrade yours because you'll get what I have. And I'm like, yeah, the one you're replacing? Yeah, that sounds like a fabulous idea to me.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we had a tangent right at the start, but it was good. I'd like to remind everybody we always stream on Twitch, usually Friday nights, twitch.tv/mash those buttons. If you want to come hang out and say hi, we appreciate it. We're going to go in. There is a lot of news. Lots of it is just going to let you know what's what's going on. Not really a lot to talk about, but we will cover it and go by it quick. And then at the end, we're going to have a nice interview with Mr. Hamsterwheel. So that said, let's get into it. We had a couple reviews. Yep.
Yeah, so we had a review on Apple Podcasts. Keeps me connected. Hey, team, I look forward to listening to these episodes each week. I don't get to play as much as I'd like to these days, but these podcasts make me feel like I'm still connected to the community. Thanks so much for great content. For the Alliance, Arrowhead. Thank you
Boo.
so much for your review. Wow. Okay.
Well,
Well,
he's about to kick out Hamster Wheel. He's like, okay.
I'm even more heated because it feels like Whitemane is getting more horde dominated
It doesn't
recently.
just feel like it. It's an
It-
actual
yeah,
fact
it's-
showing on IronForge.pro. I'm getting a little nervous.
Yeah, we're gonna need some alliance to transfer in ASAP. We're having a little bit of a problem here, but thank you so much for your review. And now we have another review, which I will assume is on Warcraft Radio, but Bob might be able to correct me because
No.
it looks different
It
than
is
that.
in game, but that's the TSM
Oh, it's the
in-game mail.
TSM in-game mail. That makes way more sense because I was like, this doesn't look like a review, but
Yep.
it doesn't look like mail either. All right. So a letter review. Hey gang, wanted to stop by and say how appreciative I am for what you guys do. I literally anticipate your show every week. I deliver gasoline as a truck driver. Yes, I literally pass gas for a living.
I love that comment so much.
I wonder if
It's so good.
is that like, does every gasoline truck driver make that joke? It's
Oh,
like
I'm sure.
it's like it's like cashiers who complain about people being like, "Oh, it didn't scan. Can I get it for free?" It's just like,
Yeah, like
pass
those
gas
lame
for
jokes.
It is the dad joke of gasoline drivers, I
Yeah.
think.
Where he comes up like, where shall I put your gas? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Love it.
And you guys make my 12-hour shifts go by a whole lot faster. And for that, I thank you. Special shout out to Mel. She
Whoop,
paid
whoop.
me 500 of Bob's gold to say that. And as an undead, we are not loyal to a faction. And so for that, not for the Horde, but Dark Lady watch over you. And Durzius, 70 undead warrior. I can appreciate that.
So
Nice.
for Hamster, as someone who just recently found our show, it's a ongoing joke that I write all the reviews or pay off people to send in reviews. So
That's very clever. Yes.
And
I don't blame
it's
you.
also not a joke, but I just never have any money, so I always take Bob's money, and he always gives me money. And
So
he
it's a
just paid off
real
my debt.
yeah. So this is definitely a listener of the show that just like put together a real good joke. I like it.
I'm not deep on the Forsaken lore. My my information says that the Alliance turned the Forsaken away, and that's why they're on the Horde, because the Horde are the only ones that would accept them. If that's the case, bad move, Alliance. We should have taken them.
Hell
We
yeah.
should have
With
taken.
Will of the
Yeah, you should have
Forsaken,
taken
man. We
them,
screwed
yeah.
up.
Yeah, that would have been excellent. And then somehow bridge that gap between Orcs and Tauren, because, come on, they don't get along. Let's be real here.
No, not at
let's
all.
let's
No.
dismantle the Horde from the inside out. But again, thank you so much for your reviews, guys. We always appreciate them, and they help us out a lot.
Definitely.
Especially when they say how wonderful Mel is. Those are obviously the best.
Of
So,
course.
what's everybody been doing this week? Does anybody want to go first?
I
I'll
took the
go.
week off, because new raids came out, so I was like, who needs that?
Wow, I did the
Nice.
opposite. I had to.
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Are you
I
sure?
was with you, Yip. Like, didn't you, like... I kind of took the week off because I was dead a lot.
Oh, well, I don't mean
Yeah,
in raid. I
you-
meant like
you
I meant
raided.
outside of raid. What were you?
I mean,
Ah.
you did do 10. We did go 8 and 2. Or no, we went 5 and 7.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me tell you
8 and
about
2 the
our
week before.
arena experience.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Because
Or-
arena came out and Bob's like, let's do arena. And I was like, day one, I don't know about this, but okay, let's do it. And so we get there and we're getting a newly arena team, right? Like we've got decent gear now. So we were like, oh, we're gonna do well, right? And we did do well, except for the
Yeah, we
10
started
games that
off.
we were put up against 2K rated teams, MMR teams, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm not gonna win against them.
we won 4 or 5 in a row against equal teams, and then it just started putting us. I mean, our MMR was 1,300, and they're putting us with 2,200 MMR teams that are doing basically their placement games, and I mean the level of play was so freaking impressive and so annoying. Like Mage Rogue, they literally just the Rogue comes in, stick and move, it just is gone. And I'm trying to catch him as the warrior, and the Mage is just oh, he's just out of reach, just a little bit out of reach, and they even dead zone. They don't just run away, they dead zone. So I can't I'll run back and the Mage runs forward a little bit, and I run forward, and the Mage runs back a little bit.
You
Dude,
notice
they're
when you
so
can't
good.
intercept somebody that they're playing on a level higher than you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to intercept and they're just perfectly away from you, you're like,
Yeah.
is this what?
Do
Who
you
am I
have grid
playing right now?
lines? Do you have grid
I'm just
lines on
trying-
your WoW arena screen? Because I don't.
Oh, it
That's
was
actually
impressive and so annoying all at the same time.
Is there an add-on that could show?
I wonder
information,
range.
like just your range
That's
away
how
from an
they do
enemy
it.
at all
Slash
times. That
range
seems
enemy,
like
maybe?
too much info. That seems like too much info to have if you always know what range you are
They
from a target.
could put
Yeah.
nameplates to a certain range.
That would be. Ooh, that's not a. I don't think we want to go there.
You could maybe make that add-on and then sell it secretly to top PvPs for $1,000 a piece, and then
You'd have to do it
make
secretly.
a killing.
That's
There we
what. That's
go.
what. The add-ons like Spy and I guess the LFG one that they shut down, they couldn't have been a secret one, but some of these really good ones that end up getting, they had to change them, right? Like Spy had to get changed right at the beginning of vanilla because wasn't it showing way
It was
wider range than it was supposed to be
way
able
wider.
to?
And I still feel like it's unfair to stealth classes that it still lets me know, because before you just never would know. You'd have to hear them come out of stealth, you'd have to see them for a second, and it's
Now imagine if they
still a
sold
little
that
mean.
secretly.
But yeah, it used to
Right?
show stealth from a mile away, and they had to nerf the early on in Classic. They nerfed the distance for combat log, and so yeah. But
Crazy.
Hamster, what have you been doing? You've been playing private servers, so you've been working up new characters. I know you got a new series on your channel.
Yeah. So, one thing I've always been wanting to do is another leveling series, and I know leveling series is not exactly the most popular thing to make. I mean, I listened to your podcast. I know that the most popular thing to make right now is the top 10 reasons why TBC Classic is dying. You won't believe number 6.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Exactly, that kind of stuff. But I know it's not very popular. It doesn't get a lot of views, but it's okay because I really like doing it. And I got to give a shout out to a fellow content creator called Cargos. You
Oh,
guys
we
probably know
love
him.
Oh, of
Cargos over
course.
here.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him on the show. He's just so busy.
Yeah, he's always very busy. He's doing that Ragnaros like hardcore mode where it's crazy.
Mhm.
Yep.
But
And
he basically,
he's doing a lot.
yeah, exactly. And he basically showed me that I mean, many people are kind of focused around this. How do I get to level 60 the fastest way, like the most effective way? But the fastest or effective way is not always the most fun way. And some people take the game very, very seriously, and they're trying to get server first. That's all fine. If that's your thing, more power to you. Um, I play it just to have fun. So I figured, what is the most fun way to level for me? It's not spam this dungeon 20 times over again, not be stuck in Scarlet Monastery for 10 levels. So I
Questing
started thinking,
czars.
yeah, yeah. So I started thinking, okay, I don't want to do hardcore. It's a little too much dedication to when you die once, you do have to lead your entire character. But I do want to set myself a few challenges to make it a little bit more interesting. And I decided to call it Lone Wolf Leveling. Just it's just you. You can't use any characters. You can't use heirlooms or whatever. No outside help, and a few other things. And I've been doing that steadily, and I really love it. Like, once again, Cargos has really shown me that you can have fun in WoW if you are okay with not being focused around this fastest way of leveling. And as soon as you accept that, a lot more room for fun, so
Definitely, yeah. We did our
yeah.
first tunes, our mains, because we wanted to get into raid. We did it the dungeon grind way, and I thought we were gonna die, man. And then the second characters, Mel and I,
Yeah.
had so much fun PvPing in the world and just doing all the quests, and we
I
just
mean I
love
mean
quests.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I mean, with World of Warcraft Classic, I mean, I understand why there was so much talk about getting ahead of the curve, because it was like a
Yeah.
lot of people on one server. What do you want to be? Do you want to be stuck in the middle, sitting in one area for 5 minutes waiting for one respawn, or do you want to kind of develop a strategy where you can at least get ahead of like the main group of people, and then you have all the quests for yourself and all the mobs for yourself? So I understand that mentality. Um, but for me, I mean, I even with Classic, I didn't have a lot of time to play back then, so I already knew I was going to be either stuck in that group or be behind. So yeah,
Yeah, Mel and I took our time and leveled in the world in Classic. Did each dungeon a few times, but we were
nice. Yeah.
definitely about a month behind our guild in getting into Molten Core. We also took a Europe trip to Paris,
Oh,
Stockholm,
nice.
and London during that time, like a 12-day trip. And so we did play a little bit in Sweden because we're dorks.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but
but
just in an internet cafe or something. Like, how do
no,
you do that?
just in the hotel room on our laptops.
Nice.
Uh,
That is awesome.
yeah, but
Yep.
Dedication.
yeah.
You
So
didn't visit Amsterdam or
no,
right?
didn't get to Amsterdam. I've been to Denmark before, though. I went to Denmark when I
Oh,
was
nice.
19. Aarhus, I think it's the second largest city in Denmark.
Oh, nice.
Besides Copenhagen, Aarhus. I don't know how to say it. It
Yeah, I
was a
don't
good
know.
time. I was
That's
19 and I
awesome.
got to drink at all the bars, so I thought I was the coolest thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, because America's still 21, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Which is
It's
so
weird.
crazy.
I'll always we went to Mexico, summer of 2008, Summer Olympics, I think. And
Wow.
I'll never forget the look my mom gave Bingo as he drank beer at the pool bar, even though he was under 21, because it's like 18 there. My mom's like, "What?
Uh,
You
Oh,
can't be
man.
doing
That's awesome. All right, well, yep. What have you been up to?
I've been up to a lot. I thought I was ready for this phase of content, and then I ended up doing like 80,000 things this week. I felt like I had no time at all. Finally finished making like everything I wanted to make. Finished my frost set, which was good. Finally made a second engineering trinket. I reworked my entire gear. I love Warrior. Like the gearing of Warrior right now too is just so good because there's just so many options from different places and different ways to gear for threat or mitigation. I have like 6 different items for every slot. I have so many rings right now. That's the big thing. Rings and trinkets. I just have like so many that I can mix and match. And finally I was like, I'm not going in with a Latros or a Hunger and Cold. I'm gonna bring my King's Defender and I'm gonna work my set around King's Defender, even though I like the expertise on the other weapons. I'll work around King's Defender. So now I'm wearing 2 Goblin Rocket Trinkets. So I feel pretty good about that.
Which I didn't even know you
Damn.
could do.
Yeah, they share a cooldown. These are the reasons I can't ever get an epic flying mount. So I spend all my money on my characters, which I did again last night. So I went to a heroic in DPS gear. I put on my DPS gear because we wanted to go do the Sethic for the Anzu mount. We were gonna go kill Anzu and try to get the Ravenlord
yeah.
mount,
Yeah.
and we had our prop paladin. So I was like, I'll put on DPS gear. It's fine. I was kicking ass in there. This is a problem. I might be the blessed gladiator warrior in the goddamn world. And we'll talk about that later when we look at DPS numbers. But I was doing 1.2k DPS on trash pulls and stuff as deep prot. All right, I was pretty
Damn.
stoked about
That is
that. I had a lot of
crazy.
fun. I can sneak into heroics and people won't even know I'm prot. Like I think that's what I can do unless they inspect me and look at my talents.
Were
I
you
think
dual
that you
wielding?
wouldn't even know. Dual wielding, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Damn.
so I'm gonna double mongoose my fury weapons tonight and spend all my money so that I can occasionally do DPS. Even though a new tier of content came out and like Spite Blade and Fool's Bane aren't that great, and I'm not gonna craft my Dragon Maw or anything, but I've been having fun doing that. So it's all just been preparation, making sure my resist was in order, getting everything ready to go for SSC and, well, just SSC. Talk about that later.
Nice.
Well, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I've been doing a lot too. Been getting the lock all geared. I finally bought the belt way too late. I went ahead and crafted that, and then I crafted my Goblin Engineering helmet on Blazing Bob the
Oh,
Warrior.
goggles. Yeah.
Goggles, yeah, the goggles look so cool, and been doing a ton of PvP. We did some what real interesting. They've got the same faction BGs going, and we've been doing a real good job of queuing 2 groups together to get into the same BG, and so I think Blizzard's been trying to find a way to make that stop, because we had a real fun thing happen to us this weekend. We're queuing the same time, queue pops same time. We're like, all right, go in. We go in, and we realize real quick, oh, we're on 2 different sides. And it was so much fun. I got to
The
kill
Lions versus Alliance, baby.
Oh,
Which
I
is
got to kill our
happening
guild leader. It was so much
on
fun.
the weekends. It's happening a lot, Alliance versus Alliance. And I don't know if it's because they changed how their queuing system works, or the Horde all got their honor gear and don't want to PvP anymore. That's
I
that's
honestly
my
think
money.
I think they're changing it, because we had no problems getting in to the 2 groups into the same BG, and I think and I've said from the start that's just not fair to Horde, and so I think they're just trying to make it so it's hard for anybody to do
I'm gonna
that.
counter you. The queue times were normal though. We didn't have like extended queue times and then they put us into like Alliance versus Alliance. It was just a normal queue. I just think that there aren't as many Horde playing. That's personally what I think. I have a crazy theory I'm
Yeah,
gonna throw
they're
out there.
too busy sitting outside of SSC killing all the Alliance trying to run in.
They are killing the Alliance and they're killing them on their mains. I think, and I could be wrong here, Alliance all have PvP alts. And they're only just coming online right now. And that's why Alliance are seeing Alliance versus Alliance more. And Horde are all playing PvP mains. So their rating is like their second tier, and they PvP first because all they're picking their races based on the racial. We're all PvE focused, and we just have alts, right? Because it's like, I wish I was a gnome. I wish I had a gnome warrior right now. What am I doing on my human right now? So that's what I personally think, right? Bob's a great example of one of them. He had to spam stuff on Bob, on his warrior, in order to get his honor gear, and now all of a sudden it's Alliance versus Alliance on weekends. I think that because the queues are 2 minutes, it doesn't make sense. I think
Yeah.
that there's just no Horde playing
There's
or
also
PvPing in
some
BGs.
awesome bugs too. Our guild leader has a gnome warrior alt PvP guy, and he had the Horde mask on, but it was bugged, so it was really small. So it literally was a Horde face mask. So he was like COVID compliant. It was hilarious.
Pretty cute.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. We took a screenshot of it, but yeah, that was really fun. It was fun just to get to verse. We at that point started splitting the groups up better because that group that went against us had all the healers, and we're like, wait a second here. So we started
five-capped
splitting.
them. Say it, Bob.
They did.
Tell them we 5-capped you.
I whooped them at
No.
the blacksmith, and they whooped us the rest of the game.
It was 12 versus 5 at blacksmith, and then we 5-capped them. That's all I'm gonna say.
All I
And we
know is
won.
I was the one person on YouTube, and I killed you both, and it felt so good. And I was like, all right, I got what I needed out of this.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we didn't cheat. We went into separate discords.
Yeah, we didn't win trade. We did see some alliance that were doing that type of thing. Basically, we saw another group that for sure had half and half on either side, and literally the one half just stayed in spawn and let the other ones cap. And so we definitely reported them for win trading because that's just not cool. Like, you got to fight.
Yeah,
I mean,
could
it
be
only
wrong.
happened to you guys once. Like, how are they win trading? Like, are they that clever that they know when they're getting...
Either way, they allowed the other team to win by just standing in spawn. Like, so for whatever reason, it wasn't cool.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I don't remember reading anything about this, and I heard it through the grapevine, I guess. But I think in the Oceanic servers, there's a lot of arena win trading, and I think people are getting banned for 6 months now for win trading arena.
Someone named CMD. I saw like a promoted tweet or something where he got banned for 6 months for win trading.
Right. Yeah, it looks like that's pretty serious. That's a botting ban, basically. Like that's what we've had someone in our guild get banned for botting, and he got 6 months. Like that's a botting ban for win trading in arena. That's pretty nuts. But I mean, good, I guess. But yeah, don't win trade BGs because, like, I don't know, Blizzard's not super consistent on their punishments. So you might want to not for the extra 100 honor you'll get per hour, not get banned for 6 months.
Yeah, it's not worth it, kids. Don't break the law. But yeah, that's basically been doing a ton. It's just like it's not really anything fun to really talk about. I got a few pieces of the Vindicator gear because I did not realize that there was like honor gear pieces. I thought that the ring was coming out, but I for some reason thought we weren't getting new off pieces until season 3. So I'm a little behind there. I need 2 more pieces to get my complete set of that, but it just means I can PvP
Pretty minor.
more.
It's like the off pieces, right? Like you mean like the wrists and the boots and the belt.
Yeah,
epics.
The beautiful thing about the gear, though, is once you pass the blue gear, like the upgraded gear is really only 10% better.
Yeah,
so
it's
the other
minor.
gear lasts a while, which is nice.
Yeah, it's definitely something that like it's nice to have, but unless you're super evenly matched, skill is going to be the winner of like.
Oh yeah,
if
definitely.
someone's in season 1 stuff and someone's in season 2 stuff, it's still going to come down mainly to skill once you hit a good resilience threshold.
Is it the Vindicator or the Veterans gear? Right?
Yeah, it's Veterans.
Yeah, Veterans,
Oh, okay.
and then the Glad gear is called Vindicator. The Glad gear is called Vengeance. What is it? Dang it!
It's Merciless Gladiator.
Merciless,
and
then next
season 2 is Merciless Gladiator.
Yeah.
Next one's Vindicator.
This is the set that I remember wearing
exactly.
most on my warrior. I remember always being decked out in that season 2. It's like kind of over the top.
Yeah, I don't
warrior.
like the shoulders at all. I like season 1 and season 3 gear.
No, season 2 warrior shoulders are amazing.
I don't
Tier
know,
5,
dude.
like, dude, it's killer. I mean, I do slightly like tier 6 a little bit more, but I mean, it's very close for me. Tier 5, tier 6 warrior is like insane.
I don't know. I like the tier 4. I guess like I don't know. The wings are just I don't know something about it. I'm just like I'm not into it, but I'll still wear it.
Cool. It's like 2 extra set of blades, like you're quadruple wielding basically.
It's one
It's
hell of
so
a
cool.
whirlwind.
I don't know.
Yeah, when you charge into them, you just use your shoulders to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. But yeah, okay. Well, Yip, you want to tell them we had some adventures?
We did it.
Oh, I guess
We made it.
I didn't talk about me getting 3 vortexes. I guess you could just
I'll
hit
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
I'll do
Okay.
that.
Cool.
We finally made it. Phase 1 is over. The boredom of Phase 1 is finally over. I still appreciate it because I think if everything came out at once, we all would have it's just the rush to do all this stuff would have been so awful for casual players. Like it just would have been
And we'd
the
be
worst.
bored right now
We'd be
because
bored right
everything came
exactly.
out
We
at
would be
once.
bored right now, waiting for Black Temple to be coming out right
Right.
now. So taking it slow, I think that's fine. I don't have a big problem with that because the timeline is still like we're not gonna have a 3-year TBC because they had a phase 1, so that's totally fine. But finally, it's over. The raid logging can maybe continue, but stop a little less raid logging. We got dailies coming out and a new raid finally, something to do. Comes out Wednesday though, and we're a Tuesday Thursday guild, so we get together on Wednesday for a little trash farm in Serpentshrine. See if we can get some recipes, see if we can get some nether vortexes. The drop rate doesn't seem that bad on vortexes, so we're like, we might be able to get a good amount. And then Bob approached us and said, I will pay 500 gold per vortex that drops until I get my 5 to make Storm Herald. And
yeah.
we're like,
because I don't PvE with him much at all, and so like
Yeah.
it's like an opportunity I'm not gonna get,
Yeah, like hell, you're coming into like a real raid, right, with Bob because it's just like
over
we're in
lock
progression
dude,
mode.
over almost bis lock dude.
Exactly. So we do a trash farm, and it's a little messy. I'm really glad that we did it because we got to learn like the trash mechanics and then only focus on boss mechanics the next night. But we got 3 nether vortexes. We were there for about almost 2 hours, an hour and a half. I think like an hour and a half we were in there. So honestly, if you break down the effort per person, not worth the 500 gold we got per vortex, but it was good to get in there, get the experience, hand out some vortexes. We got a couple recipes, and I think it was still worthwhile doing because the next night, when we finally go to
Hey,
progress.
Can we talk about that night just for a second? Because
Okay.
you know those like mobs where there's like 5 of them, right? And so like the first time we did it, like a couple people died. And we were like, oh, okay, like let's do
The
it.
spore
And
bats.
then we tried like 7 different ways, and
Yeah.
like 60%, 70% of people died. And like every time we tried something different, like more people were dying, and we were all like, so I think the first way we did it, I think was the best way we've done it.
Well, it's like so the first pack is what we're talking about of the entire SSC. There's
Right.
these 2 spore bats that charge at ranged, and they're just one-shotting some of them. It just depends. Like some of them just getting one shot. So we were trying to mitigate that by trying different pulls. Let's hibernate them. Let's pull these guys apart so they don't enrage and one-shot people. And we're the kind of guild that brute forces things. We just want to try stuff. Well, we don't look at the mechanics. We're like, let's AoE it down, see what happens, then fix it from there. AoEing down went okay, but we had like 3 deaths of people, and I didn't know how to avoid those deaths is the problem, other than them putting on more stam gear. So I was like, we should change the way we're doing this so that we don't like always have 3 people die when we start. And every time we did packs like that, we tried something different. Pulling the Beastmaster away so he couldn't enrage the little guys. We pulled the silence people away, and then everyone stacked, and we tried that. I don't know why that one didn't work. But every time it got worse and worse. Even the time we hibernated them, I feel like half the raid died. Like it got
Yeah.
even worse. So now we just AoE it all down. It's whatever. And we have like 1 death
Couple
maybe.
sacrifices, and we're
Having
fine.
everyone flasked up and consumed made it easier. I think that was the
Definitely.
big thing. Having
And mains there.
And having
main.
25 people.
Yeah. So that made a bigger difference. But the trash is pretty. You can't just pull some of those trash, like the Tide Collar trash and stuff like that. We're having to CC some of the stuff in there to not die, whereas we're not. I guess we're not used to that. We haven't really had to do too much of that yet in TBC. So we carefully approached trash that night, got the vortexes. And the next night, trash went pretty smoothly overall. We wasted a lot of time just sort of like rezzing people the next night, and Mel died. So Lurker has a circular platform that you stand on, and Mel swam under it and
You can't
died
get
to
out.
the fishes, and we couldn't get her out. We're like, it was like 10 minutes, and it was really It was pretty
It was
funny. Like,
only 10 minutes because I asked for a summon, like, twice, and nobody gave it to me. By the time you summoned me, I was literally getting ready to jump into the water where the platform was. It's
yeah,
a long walk.
Discord was messed up last night. So we were having people in and out of Discord, which I think might have been part of the problem. Like,
Hmm.
we were changing the region and stuff, but like some people just couldn't hear. So reses and summons were coming out slow, and we were pretty slow. But I'll just go through each boss. So we go to Hydros. I was most worried about him because I was like, if we don't have enough resist gear and we're just dying, we're only bringing 5 healers, and I think a lot of guilds are opting for 6. I was like, we might just not be able to do it right now. But it was actually, in my mind, it was a cakewalk. It was super easy. The first attempt we had on it, we only died because the nature bear druid died. Otherwise, he was like at 30%, and we're like, okay, well, that was really easy. But then we kept wiping. The bear druid kept dying. So we ended up the only thing that we started doing was, instead of waiting for 100% to come out, the stack that makes the nature damage, you do 100% more damage. We dragged it at 50, and then as 100 came out, we swapped it over. And then just
Well, I
figuring
think
out
it was
how far
learning
we
on
had
the
to draw
healer's
them.
part too, right? Because initially, like the first pull, it seemed like there were just these random times where you guys were taking so much damage.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God. So you'd like overheal to try to, catch that where it wasn't like this long cast time after you see them drop down. And then we realized, or I can't speak for everybody, this is me. I realized it was more like during those transition times. So I didn't need to necessarily overheal you in those other times, spot heal you and the other people. But during
Yep.
that transition time, I had to just spam heals on you or Bushy, whoever was tanking. And that helped a lot because then I didn't run out of mana. Also, Miro like will innervate me and like I won't notice that he's innervated me because I'm already like going to like send out my Shadow Fiend or take my mana pot. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
at one point, I realized I was like, "How am I full mana? What's happening? I need to spam
Yeah,
some
you got your
heals."
Shadow Fiend out at 100%. You're like,
Yeah,
wait.
and I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then DPS, like since they were like changing when they were like moving it back and forth, we'd have dots up, and so like they'd lose aggro a second, so it'd cross, water elementals would spawn, then it'd cross back over to the DPS, and water elementals would spawn more, and we're just like, okay, maybe we'll just Shadow Bolt after the first dot on each rotation.
It was, I think, I only just thought about this right now, but I really think it was a symptom of phase 1 just had no 25-man content. We're just
Yeah.
literally not used to functioning as this raid team. Like most of our raid didn't raid with us last time, so it's actually kind of crazy. We've had a pretty big shift in our guild where a lot of our like core raiders, I mean, a lot of our core raiders are still there, but that 25-man looks way different than what we thought the 25-man was going to look like. So I think a lot of it is just like, okay, well, who's innervating who? Like, we don't really have any kind of like fluidity yet. So we only wiped like 3 or 4 times on Hydra, so it wasn't like insanely bad. It just, we should have been able to kill it, so it felt
It
worse.
just feels bad because we're
Yeah.
walking back because we were like trying to like soulstone one person at a time, but then that person would take the soulstone during the fight, and we're like, okay,
Or
now
you
we're
die on the
walking back.
platform. Or you die on the platform, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
I
and
can't
you can't
Yeah.
use
res.
my soulstone
Yeah.
here. We also thought the first time we were like, they go, all right, everybody run to the bridge and we'll reset. People ran to the bridge, and that does not work, by the way. They just chase you after you. And then people wouldn't die. They'd like try to jump in the water, and then there's this person. So then I
Yeah,
used
people.
my soulstone on the bridge, and then all of a sudden, like literally 3 minutes later, this mob comes back to kill me.
We need to learn like all the basics we learn in 40-man all over again. Like, die
Yeah.
quick. If we're wiping, wipe. Stop running away. Stop like making it take longer than it needs to take. Like we're just like wasting all this time doing that sort of stuff, which is totally fine. It's just we need to relearn all the like, how do we do these attempts quicker. As a warrior, I mean, Mel, you might know differently. I don't watch my health like all the time, but I'm always monitoring it for like health stones and everything I need to do, right? But I seemed fine. I'm just using the crafted gear, the neck, the ring, helm, chest, and pants. So the ice guard, and then there's the frozen eye, and then the thong pendant. I'm
I mean,
only using
I'm
that.
Yip's healer, so obviously he was fine.
Did you say
That's
thong
just all I want
pendant?
to say.
Thawing.
Oh, I thought you said thong. I was like,
Yeah, I was
No,
like,
no, no,
what?
no.
that would be a sight to see.
Thaw like ice
Down the well.
thawing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't even at 100%. I felt totally fine. I wasn't
No,
getting punked
you were fine.
down.
You
Yeah.
weren't taking as much damage as Bushy, for
Well, Bushy
sure.
has to wear like so. Druids have to wear like greens
Yeah.
of nature res. I have like special plate has like specially crafted tanking plate with frost res on it, and I'm going in all beefy. So if you have 2 plate wears, I would definitely go that route, which is what we were originally gonna do. But our paladin tank changed, so.
Right.
Yeah, Hydros ended up being fine, and that gave me some confidence. I was like, okay, if we can kill Hydros, we can probably kill the first 4 in here. And my goal was 4 going in. I thought we could kill 5. I really think we can get to Vash with enough time, like no problem, pretty much. But we head to Lurker next,
Oh,
and
God. Hard mode.
so there, if you don't know, and there is a mechanic where if you kill all of the packs in the ring around Lurker, fishes stop spawning. You boil the water, but then anytime you're in the water below, you start taking ticks of like 1,000 damage or something.
It's like
Every time
1,000
you're
a
in the
second.
water. Yeah, it's like 1,000 a second. So you kind of have a trade-off, which you should do. The first like 2 attempts, I think, of Lurker, people were just jumping in the water, and every time you jump in the water, or almost every time, a fish spawns, an elite fish spawns, and we would be on Lurker, and there'd be like 75 fish in the water, and
It
if one
was
person was left in the
uncanny.
water, they would all seek them out and kill them.
Yeah.
I will contend though, and again, we're shaking it off. Phase 1 was really easy. So many people were just getting hit by spouts. The reason we wiped on Lurker, I think 3 total times, people just getting hit by spouts endlessly. I
I only got hit by 1 spout. Okay, yep, I got hit by 1 spout, and it's because so here's the thing. When you walk into the water, like I walked in and I didn't jump in because you yelled at people for jumping. So I just backed up into the water, and I was like, my whole body was in the water, but I was still like on the ledge. And you have to be like swimming, like doggy paddling, right? Or else you still get
Not even
hit.
doggy paddle? Sorry, Princess Bride reference. Couldn't help myself.
But yeah, that's the only time I died.
Hold
And
on.
then
Hold
okay,
on.
nope. I don't even want to talk
I'm
about it.
sorry, Mel, but you said it's the only time you died, so I'd like to bring up the time that Mel swam under the platform was when we were just going to Lurker. So she swam under the platform, died. We're just going to Lurker. However, in one of our attempts, she walks back into the water. And then in the fight, swims under and dies to the boiling water that time.
Okay.
Oh, dude,
it
and then
doesn't
one time
make
I
any sense.
I
It
summoned
doesn't
her,
make any sense as to
and she
why.
walked in and died.
Okay, no. I was full health. You summoned me. I was full health. I got in the water and 82 fish attacked.
Yeah, the fish
Yeah,
was
I
still
don't know
there.
how
I
I'm
was
supposed to
It
get to
was
the
the
other side.
funniest thing
Like,
ever.
how am I supposed to get to the other side? Literally 82 fish attacked me. And they were like, oh, you weren't full health. I was like, 100% no. You summoned me when I was at the top of the freaking thing. Like, I was full health.
So we
No.
boiled the water, and it got a lot easier.
Yeah, we
after
boiled the
that.
water, and Lurker wasn't very
I
hard.
need
I
to
mean, the ads
justify
do
this
no
really
damage.
fast. I need to justify this real fast. Okay?
No, I'm about to do it for you. I'm going to do it for you if you want.
But there's no reason you should be able to walk down the ramp and not walk back up the
You
ramp.
can. You're swimming underwater a little bit. That's why you can't walk back up. When you're going back into the water, you're pushing yourself under, and then you're swimming back on instead of walking back on. That's why that's happening. But when walking back to Lurker once, I don't know if anyone has felt this before, but if you swim a lot, if you ever swam up and there was like a tube or like an inflatable above you in a pool, you go into like panic mode. Like, what can I get up from under the water?
Oh my god, yes.
I swam over to Lurker and I got stuck under the platform and I thought I was gonna die. I was like, how do I get out of here? Your camera angle, the camera angle gets flipped and you're like, where am I? I totally get why Mel died.
It isn't. You're like, it's like my whole body's like spinning, and I'm like, "Where's the exit? Where's the exit?" And I like made it to the middle, and you can't come up in the middle. Like you can't get up in the middle, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Like flips the direction that you're looking when you go under. It is pretty confusing. So once you boil the water, you are allowed to jump though. So I would recommend jumping once you boil the water. But yeah, so Lurker also not hard, but we had a couple of wipes. we move on. I don't think we had any real trash problems ever. The mushroom guys, we ended up kiting because they spawn mushrooms, but then we decided that if we keep them all together, we can just blow it all up with seed, and that ended up working really easy. If you have like good DPS, and I want to stress, we have pretty reasonably high DPS. So if your guild doesn't have reasonably high DPS, some of this advice may not work for you. But AoEing down most of the packs that like can't be CC'd a ton worked out really, really well. Or just like one sheep, one sap worked out really well for us. We go to Leo. Oh God, we go to Leo. And the way that fight works is you have a warlock tank and you have a normal tank, and he does this thing where like 5 people get a shadow spawn where only you can kill your own shadow. It's a little similar to Jindo and ZG, where if you have the debuff, you can kill like the shades that come out, but you're killing your own one. Well, I was tanking and it came out. Well, it was the warlock tanking, and then it came out for me. I didn't. The only other weapon I had with me was Spite Blade, but I hadn't made my macro yet to switch it into my offhand, and so it wasn't until like I was like 10 seconds into fighting this thing I was able to get my Spite Blade on, and I'm panicking, and it's at like 5% health, and I end up getting permanently mind controlled for the rest of the fight, and I was like, uh-oh, sorry guys. But our Bear Druid picked it up, and honestly, we just crush it anyway.
Yeah.
Like our first pull.
One shot.
The main tank mind controlled. It just didn't seem that hard. The whirlwind isn't anywhere near as scary. We're talking about it in raid. It's not anywhere near as scary as Sartura's whirlwind in AQ. That one like one shot you. That thing is nuts. This one is like it applies a bleed, so you don't want everyone to get hit by it. But if even a Clothy can get hit by it and live, which is pretty forgiving overall.
That's such a warrior comment, right? Like, yeah, it was like super easy. Like the healers are just like spam, like AoE healing everybody that got hit by this stupid bleed.
I mean,
and you're
we
like,
came in with 5.
Kill them.
We came in with 5 healers though, so
you're in the background applying a million band-aids in the front. It's like, oh, it was easy.
It's fine.
Literally how it was for me in vanilla. Like I was a healer back then. It was like, oh
yeah.
easy. Like you have no idea what we just did. Like
right? There's like no appreciation. It's like, yeah.
Exactly.
I understand because I'm a tank. I've been doing this thing. Eventually, our guild's gonna hate me because I'm always like, you guys have no appreciation for what I did. I'm not in. I had 0 group buffs last night. I didn't have a Feral Druid in my. Oh no, you know what? I lied. I had a Feral Druid in my group. But it's like I don't get Wind Fury. I don't get Heroism. I have no benefit to Hold Threat, and I still held Threat. All right.
So you got mind controlled.
An average warrior would not do what I did tonight, and you remember that, okay? I'm hitting shield slam a lot, okay? But yeah, so Leo was fine.
I have to represent the healer perspective.
No, you're right. But I mean, I was looking at health bars. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. What surprised me the most,
it wasn't undoable. For sure.
The thing that was the scariest for me going into it, I thought the warlock tank was gonna just get obliterated. I was like, our biggest problem is that this warlock is just going to die again and again. Not the case. He just has the badge gear on, and honestly, he didn't dip that. Maybe once or twice he was like, uh-oh.
Well, he's got the badge
it was
gear.
Harry, right? Like, I mean, I thought for sure Harry would die.
Harry dies a lot. But
kidding.
he has the badge gear, the neck, and the ring, just to be clear, though. So he does have more than just the badge gear.
He has like the normal set, but I was definitely most worried about that being a problem. Because like, what do you do then? Like, there's no easy recovery from the warlock dying, right? Like, it's like, how do we solve this problem? But no, it was pretty simple and easy. Again, could be DPS thing. If that fight goes on longer, maybe the healers are and it's a big problem. And Jasmine is pointing out that Harry was not even in the top 5 for deaths in SSC. Mel was actually number 1 at 17 deaths last night.
Okay.
You know. Anyway.
I feel like FJ died a lot,
let's talk about keeping aggro, you know? I mean, come on.
Yeah, let's go back to keeping aggro.
We'd be on trash. I'd be like, dude, I'm number 1. Oh yeah, FJ's dead. Dude, I'm number 1. Oh yeah, FJ's dead.
He's not even in the top 10.
kind of revived our healer chat because we haven't had our healer chat. Like our healer chat was like our solace and 40-man raids, right? Where we could
Yeah.
just complain about all of, yips and people. No, I'm just kidding. But like we would enjoy like talking to each other, making memes in there. And but it was like super easy. And so in our healer chat during the SSC raid, we were like, this is kind of fun. Like we're actually have to
Oh,
like
definitely.
heal and make decisions and like, decide to let Bob die because Yip needs to be healed. And not
Yeah.
everybody's at full health 100% of the
I mean, you
time. And
guys did a bang up job not letting me die, though. I mean, I died probably the least of the warlocks, at least on trash.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say, like, the trash, while there are some scarier mechanics, the amount that they hit with their melees isn't that crazy. Where it does seem like people were getting hit by melee Nagas who are warlocks, and they would just not die from a one shot, and I could taunt after and be like, "No one saw that. That didn't just happen," which is surprising to me. Where if you look at like even just Gruul, going in there, the brute ogres, they'll charge someone and just insta gib them, and then they're dead. It wasn't quite
yeah,
the same. Only the spore bats were doing that for us.
there was a
Uh,
little bit of leeway, right? Like you'd see somebody go down to like this little tiny little red bar, and I'd be like, oh my God. But
yeah,
by the time I was like, oh my God, and I cast a flash heal or something, they weren't taking another hit, which I think is the
right.
key,
Yeah, if it
right?
takes
Like,
you
as
one
long as,
hit.
like,
Yeah.
that one hit was it, then we were fine.
We're also the worst geared we'll ever be going into
Right,
this content, which I think is something to keep in mind as well too. Where a lot of these fights, a little more DPS just makes it easier. One less phase on high draws, one less. I don't
right.
know. It just makes it a big difference. So after Leo is that one guy whose name is slipping me, Fathom Lord, something with a K. We went to
Mhm.
Fathom Lord. I should have just said that confidently, and then no one would know
Yeah,
differently.
right.
I just went over to the Fathom Lord. Um, I don't have a lot of perspective on this. Maybe you two want to talk about this fight more. The first time we did it, I tanked the shaman. It's very easy to tank. I just tanked it against the wall, and then we wiped later. Why do we wipe late? Oh, we wiped because our paladin tank, who was tanking the priest, like off far away, died, and then it just became kind of a mess. And those Spitfire totems that get summoned are pain. They do a lot of damage to people. So killing those fast are pretty important. In the second attempt, I took the healer over so that I could interrupt the healing wave that she does. And then I didn't die, so that worked out well. But it was still close. So we were already over raid time, but we were going to push. We were trying to get this boss down. We wanted 4 down, I think, for sure. We ended up getting it down on the second try, but it was a little sketchy because he went into enrage before the priest died or something, or maybe he enrages only if the priest didn't die. I don't know. But he was enraging with the priest up, and that was pretty scary. But we ended up getting the priest down and getting the Spitfire down. Shout out to Blunder, our hero hunter. I think we would have wiped there because our raid leader, who was amazing and got us through the whole raid. Well, the whole raid, the 4 bosses we killed. Um, called for all the DPS to go down to the priestess, so there would be no one attacking the Spitfire totems. Just as like we got to do something. Blunder, who was also having Discord problems, couldn't hear the call to go down, so he was still on the main boss. Spitfire totem comes up, he just pops like everything he has and kills the Spitfire totem by himself before it comes out and does the spray.
Nice.
And he's like, "All right." And then he
I
asked
got
me
this.
after, he's like, "Was there a call to go down to the priest?" Because I was just standing up there by myself, and so Discord
Yeah, it was
saved us.
one of those things like sh- it was in rage, and then it was just like, "Ding, somebody's dead.
Yeah,
Ding, somebody's dead." And it's like, she's so close, just kill her, just kill her.
yeah.
Like,
So it was chaotic, but we still got her down, and or got Fathom Lord down. So I do think that
Well, I
like
wanted
we
to
were
say,
mechanically unsound. I think anyone could get these
yeah,
4 down with practice.
I wanted to say one thing about my specific job for that second wave. It sucked. Like for some reason, I have become the tongues dude in our raid leader's mind. He's like, "Oh yeah, so we need tongues, Bob. You do it." So he tells me to do tongues on on the healer, and I'm like, okay, so I just go down there at the start and just do that. And I figured I'd just DPS the healer, but he's like, well, no, just come back and keep her on focus, and then just go back and put tongues up. Well, tongues doesn't last for very long at all, so I'm like spending all my time running back and forth and like not getting any DPS at all. And it was so funny. But
I was gonna say, I think it makes more sense if we want to have tongues, which but I think that is uninterruptible without tongues. It would have been
so
too
fast.
Crazy. At least maybe a rogue can do it, but if your kick is GCD locked, you're you're not getting it. Maybe just having the warlock stay and just DPS.
Yeah, just because I feel like that would have overall made the fight faster, because I would have done at least double DPS if I was just down there pumping on her. Then when you guys get to her, she's
and
already
were we worried
lower.
that she wasn't dead by the end when he enraged, right? Like, so it's probably better to
so
have
the
a
extra
little
DPS down there wouldn't be a problem either. So I mean there are many things we could have done better, but we still got the 4 down that I wanted to get down. I have no idea how the next bosses are going to go, honestly, because I don't want to say I was disappointed. I thought we would be able to do better last night, but I am now realizing that it's like we've only been killing 3 25-man bosses that are relatively easy. Magtheradon's maybe a little bit harder, but what you just do it week over week, we just haven't been faced with challenges in so long. I mean, when were we in Nax last? And then how does our roster look compared to that? But it was a lot of fun, and only one Nether Vortex dropped last night.
I know,
so that was a bummer. But other than that, we had a pretty successful. We hit my goal. My goal was 4. Next week we're gonna do the same. It's gonna take us an hour and a half less time, because it's just there are so many. I mean, there were just so many places we could have just saved time. I mean, literally, and it's fine. It's fine because we got the 4 bosses down. But there were times where just rezzing people was taking 10 actual minutes. Where getting together for another pull was 10 full minutes after the run back of some people, and it was just this is crazy. Yeah. Why is this person not rest? Let's go. Just getting back into the groove of things is going to speed stuff up, and we think we did pretty good.
Well, next week I'll be way on my game, right? Because on Tuesday I have to drive to Oklahoma in the morning and then drive back, and then I raid. So
that's a 4-hour drive for anybody that doesn't know.
It's a 4.5-hour drive.
And you are only holy priest, so I expect you to be there.
I'll be there.
So she's literally leaving at 5 a.m. She's doing a training for a couple hours, few hours, then driving back, and then get a raid.
Dedication.
So.
But so it takes 4 hours back and forth, or 4 hours just to go there and 4 hours back?
4.5 hours there, 4.5 hours back.
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's gonna be so go easy.
Haven't you heard of email yet? Where are you driving to?
Yeah, I have to be there. It's not a trading. I have to be there. It's fine. But cut me some slack.
Your slack is cut. Don't worry. And then last, we had somebody in our guild pull some DPS information of how DPS are doing over the last 2 weeks. This is what it was from Wowhead, or not Wowhead, WoW logs, Warcraft logs. Over the range of 2 weeks, the 95th percentile of against all bosses. And just thought, if anyone has any thoughts on here. I'm surprised Arms Warrior is up here. Arms Warrior is just below the Warlocks. I mean, there's a good amount different, but we're talking about 100 DPS.
It's the okay, so the Arms Warrior that's underneath, it's the thing that I tried the other night, the dual wielding Arms Warrior. What's his name has made that pretty popular. I forget his name.
Well, this is all 95th percentile Arms Warrior. So I don't know if you think so? You think that most Arms Warriors are doing that?
I think a lot of them have switched to it once he's shown that you can really pump the DPS. And this is on just to let you know, this is on just 25 man, Magtheradon, Gruul, and
sorry, yes. Yeah,
and
25 man.
Mag or Mulgar.
Yeah. What surprised me the most on here is Gladiator Warrior, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Gladiator Warrior, which if you don't know, is a deep prot spec warrior who is not tanking the encounter. Down there below 600 DPS at the 95th percentile. I am positive I can do 1,000 DPS in my I can in a raid scenario, I think that I can pump. I think I can be the #1 gladiator warrior in the world. I don't know. But I was killing it. All right. I did one heroic. Okay. I did one whole heroic. And sometimes I was doing 1,000 DPS.
Yep.
So soon you'll see me on there.
This is also, isn't this is the whole raid and not just the bosses too? Like the whole
Yeah,
trash
it might
all.
be.
And so something to think about with the Fury warriors, like when I came as Fury the last time I went to Kara, I mean, I was one of the top damage on trash. Like
No, I don't
Fury
think I don't
warriors
think
just destroy trash.
I don't think it's just trash. Why are you saying it's just trash?
No,
It's all
trash
bosses.
and boss. Or is it just bosses?
I think this is just bosses that we're looking at.
Either way, everyone except for Gruul gives you a lot of trash to.
That's true.
A lot of like multiple
There's cleave.
target damage.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
you have
there's a lot
4
of cleave
targets,
fights.
Fury just destroys.
Yeah, but I don't know. This information will rapidly evolve with SSC and TK because melee are gonna have it hard on some of these fights. Like,
Yeah,
I think that's just the reality of it. But yeah, I mean, I think everything else looked pretty normal on here. You have Arcane Mage at the top, the 2 Hunter specs, then Fury Warrior, then the 2 Warlock specs, Destro and Demonology.
Yep.
Affliction is like mid tier and down there. But after Arms Warrior, there's a drop off to Fire Mage, and everyone below that is why even bring him to the raid? You know, you only need 2 different classes.
How do you guys have any balanced druids in your raid? And if
We
so,
do.
how are they doing?
They are not.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna say they're not doing well, only because we have an extraordinarily good balanced druid in the raid who's like legendary parsing every time, and still is just like you have to like scroll to find them on the TPS.
Oh yeah,
Just 'cause,
yeah,
like
well, that's
they just
welcome to
don't do
balanced
that
druids.
that well. The buff is, I think, insane though. I think that
Yeah, 5%
3%. Yeah. Oh, 5% crit, but I meant the improved fairy fire. Bringing improved fairy
Oh,
fire for us.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
bring enough utility, and I think that's what you have to look at when you look at a DPS chart like this. And I don't know if we'll post something like this, or if you just look at Warcraft logs, you can see this data. You have to compare how much DPS they do to how much utility they bring as well,
Yeah,
too.
that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
could
the biggest-
post this on Wowhead because Wowhead posted the same exact sheet just recently, so I can
Yeah,
post
so-
it in the notes.
Yeah, so Balance Druid's really far down there, but I think if you look at a cross raid benefit, like having a Balance Druid's really, really nice. So
Yeah.
there's so much to look at more than this. And again, 5th to 95th percentile Arcane Mages, they're getting babied, you know, they're getting the innervates
Yeah,
and,
like
and
I-
everything they
Yep.
need. Yeah.
Saw
But,
some one mage doing like 7k DPS on Nether Spite and Karazhan, but he was like getting
Dude.
like buffs everywhere. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
yeah,
of course.
it's
you do
nuts.
that.
Well, and also this isn't even including Kara. Like Kara,
Yeah.
the numbers are very different, especially for bosses. Like you're gonna see like warlocks and hunters on top, and that's because you don't have that 25-man like extra innervates, extra utility. Like you're not, oftentimes Kara, you're either bringing a melee cleave or a casting cleave, so it's like
Yeah.
whoever's the odd
Survival
man
Hunter.
out is kind of screwed.
Survival Hunter does really well. We should probably get one of those. They bring utility, and they
Yeah,
aren't that much lower than Beastmaster Hunter, it looks like. So that could be something to look at. And then something else interesting. I mean, this is just like a rough judge of how I feel. I personally feel like if you're doing above 1,000 DPS, there's not too much to complain about. And almost every spec, if you're playing well, is capable of doing over 1,000 DPS. Like if you're coming in as an assassination rogue and you're doing 1,100 DPS, like no one's gonna really bat an eye.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so it's interesting that everything is acceptable. It's just like, an arcane mage doing 1,800 DPS is just insane.
Yeah, it's a good spot because I mean this, in classic WoW would look very different. You'd see warriors and rogues,
Yeah.
the warriors and rogues,
But
maybe a
to be
mage
fair,
here and
like,
there.
I've heard a few stories, and like the whole like consensus before Classic T was announced was gonna be like, oh, warriors are gonna be terrible on the DPS list, and I don't think it's that bad actually.
It's-
but maybe it could.
Well,
I
think
mean, I'll leave it to you guys to see it to tell me if that's actually true, because
Well,
I'm not playing it, and
it's
I'm
not-
no warrior expert.
yeah, it's not true. I think at least for us, people misunderstood what we were saying, because we pointed out rogues and warriors are going to be awesome in PvP. It's because they pump damage.
Yeah.
We just said encounters are going to be hard. Now in tier 5, we're getting to those encounters that are going to be hard. Like our melee DPS was dying a lot last night during encounters, and that's what we were talking about. They've always pumped. Like, so I think
Yeah,
a lot of people were just trying to say it's hard, but like people are figuring out ways, like as we see here. So I'm interested to see if people figure out ways to make those melee successful in tier 5, where people think that they're not going to be able to because of dying. So I'm excited to see it, but they definitely on a patchwork test, they still pump damage, especially if
it
it's
was ever
multi-target.
I don't think it was ever that they didn't pump damage. I just think a
Yeah, it
lot of the
was.
boss mechanics,
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
you have more downtime as a melee DPS
yeah,
because you
it's
have to
more
run in and
favored
out,
towards
and you have
casters.
to
Yeah.
yeah, so the casters can stand 30 yards away and cast nonstop,
Yeah.
while the melee's like pumping, running away because there's this AoE thing right underneath the boss, and then running back in. And
Whirlwind.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that just affects their DPS, but I don't think there's any question that they still have DPS. It's not like they
Yeah, a
can't
lot
do
of people.
it.
I actually I think this is absolutely true, and people had speculated this before TBC came out that for speed runs, which we haven't really seen any speed runs going on. Everyone's just trying to
No,
parse
yeah.
for the first stuff, right? They're just trying to get parses. But for speed runs, Fury Warrior will be really good just because of the little downtime, like
Exactly.
almost no downtime, super
Yep.
high DPS, but they bring nothing else to raid. Like, that's really where Fury Warrior struggles. Where if you can do if this chart is like pretty good, and Arms Warrior is doing like very very barely behind Fury Warrior, the utility that you bring is going to be better as an Arms Warrior. I think that just looking at this chart, but Bob said they're doing some kind of crazy nonsense. Who knows about that? All I know is that Gladiator Warrior. Ooh, I got that down.
Is it the
Yeah, they're
bottom of the
doing a.
list?
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard about it. Our guest who came out a couple weeks ago knew the guy's name. I forget it. I feel bad, but he just figured out a spec that you could go to dual wield arms, Mortal Strike with getting the debuff, but still getting a lot of damage out of 2 weapons. And so it's been a big craze at the moment. I didn't do very good with it, but I think it requires like a quite a bit more gear than I had at the time when I tried it. But I mean it was cool.
Definitely interesting. But yeah, that I think summarizes the TBC raid situation. We're gonna head back this weekend maybe for some more trash farming if possible. But we will not be venturing into TK. We're not gonna have any attempts on Morrigram, the Murloc boy, big giant Murloc. Not actually a Murloc, but big giant,
Yeah.
Murloc boy. So we'll be back over there. We'll see how we do. TK looks like it's probably gonna give us some trouble. Like Kael'thas looks like as my guild was dying to spouts, I was thinking about Kael'thas, and I was like, we're gonna wipe a couple
Don't
times.
judge us.
We're gonna
Don't
wipe a
judge
couple
us.
times before we're down. But
we
I
should
think
get to
that will.
try TK next week before the
Next week.
cast.
Yeah, next week we'll have 2 raid nights, and it'll totally change
Nice.
everything. This week we only have the one, so. But that is us, and next week we'll have a lot more to talk about. I think we'll probably be able to pull some good data on DPS there too, and see if anything majorly changes. We could talk about too. But
We just talked about this for like an hour, and I
know.
love the Yips. Like next week we'll have so much more to talk about.
phase 2
Gonna be
just
8-hour
started.
long
What are we gonna talk
podcast.
about phase 1 stuff again?
All right, well, let's move on to the news. All right, so lots of this we're just going to tell you that it's out so that you guys know it's out, but I don't think it garners a lot of talking. But if anybody wants to pipe up about anything, just go ahead and pipe up, and we'll hit on it before I go to the next thing. But the Burning Crusade Classic Arena Season 2 items are available, along with the veterans stuff for Honor. What was weird
The
to
epic off
me,
piece.
I did have one weird thing. I thought that the old Honor pieces and the old Arena pieces would still be available for half price, and they are not. You only had the 1 week to get those, and now you just can't get the half off ones. I don't know if that's as intended, or I don't remember that being the case in the old days. Like, it's literally only the new stuff is available. So
I don't remember that either. That's weird.
yeah, because I thought I had to make the choice back in the day, like, oh, do I want to buy the older stuff for cheaper and just get it quick, or do I want to buy the new stuff? Like, but there's no
hypothetically,
choice.
I knew the old honor stuff. I think I knew was not in the game. Like, I don't remember ever being able to buy like old honor stuff for half off.
You
The
could buy
arena
it for
thing-
gold later, like in
Right,
season
right.
3,
Like,
you
yeah,
could
yeah.
buy the old honor stuff for gold.
Sure, but that's like, yeah, but it just wasn't available for half off honor at any point. Slight speculation. If you remember half off season 1 arena gear existing, this could be temporary, because I've seen proof that what we had talked about slightly before, selling back your season 1 gear for arena points to buy season 2 gear, happened and worked, and people were able to do it. It wouldn't surprise me if they turned off season 1 arena gear until they figure out
just
that
so
thing.
it was like a quick fix to, like,
It might be.
they just
I
made
don't
it
know.
a invalid item, so you couldn't sell it back. They'll wait a couple weeks and then pop it back on, maybe.
I could be wrong, but I could be entirely wrong. But
It's
I
a
did
pretty
hear that
good-
people were able to do that successfully.
That's a pretty
and
good
it-
speculation, because you definitely were able to do that back in the day. So that would be a quick fix where they could do it with little coding. They just make the item invalid.
Yep.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. Okay, well, cool.
Or it's just not available, which personally I don't know if that's better or not. Like, it gives the people who were able to get the half off gear a huge advantage, so more people are on a level playing ground. And if you come in now, you have the gear that you can just buy from Reputation, which might be okay, but it just seems like everyone has a decent amount of gear now, that if you're coming in with no gear, you're going to be like, I can't get half off season 1, what the heck?
One thing that's a big thing is they dropped the shoulder rating stipulation for that week that you could buy the half off.
Yeah.
But now you can't buy a set of shoulders at all unless you have the 1850 or
Yeah.
the 2K rating. So that's a big
Well,
deal
get
for
good,
like
Bob.
like Mel, who didn't buy the shoulders with their half price. Like,
I
now
didn't
there's just
either.
no shoulder alternative.
Yeah, so we'll see how
That's
that
why I have to
unfolds.
get good, is what you're telling me.
Okay, well, and then the the goggles, Clash Trinkets, and Tier 5 sets are out in Phase 2.
Okay,
Google
I have
is also
I-
out. Don't worry.
only
The
because I
engineering
didn't.
Googles.
Yeah,
The Googles.
unfortunately, we have a problem here with the goggles. I play
The Googles.
this human look, okay? I've got the best hair. I've got freckles, I'm just the best human, okay?
Okay.
The problem is my hair clips through my goggles right here at the front, right the front of my eye where the
no.
big goggle is. Boom, it sticks out perfectly. It sticks out so much you can see it sticking, you can see it clipping through the goggles in my character portrait. When you're looking at me in the party, you can see it clipping through my goggles. I wear goggles the rest of the time. I thought I was about to get my fist trans. I was
Bring
gonna
the
get my
barber
fist
shop in.
transmog.
Bring the barber shop in.
No, I don't want a barber shop. I just want. I don't know what I want. I'm just sad.
I
That's
feel
all.
bad because my hair is perfect with the goggles. Human male with like the basically hair like yours, and it's just like the goggles look amazing.
The problem is my floofy part of the hair is on the wrong side. It just needs to be on the other side, and then it would work
That'd
out.
be
better.
perfect.
Maybe the real problem is you picking a floofy hair.
It's not floofy. It's pretty normal looking.
Mm.
If you
should've
look
thought-
at it.
You should have thought about this way back in 2019. You should have.
Yeah,
thought about
right. I
this.
should have known.
Should've
I
been
would
Shame
not
on
have
you.
guessed.
wow, I shouldn't pick this hair because it's not gonna go well with the goggles I have to wear.
You could have asked me last year if I was going to be playing Warrior in TBC, and I would have told you absolutely not. Am I going to be the tank warrior of our guild in TBC? No, but here I am.
Yes. Can't
Here
you think
we
of
are.
it as like? Can't you think of it as like, it's like covering this like some kind of like cool anime character or whatever. Like
If it didn't come
it's like
straight through the
mysterious.
goggle, It's close, right? If it was a little higher,
Yeah, I'm just trying to help you out, bro. I don't know.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right,
It's
what
like
else? What else
it's
you
like the
got,
hair
Paul?
just got snagged in the goggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and just to let everybody know, there is class favored trinkets, which I thought was interesting that like do class stuff and they drop they drop throughout. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't even know about those. I guess the rogues knew about them because they're like, ooh, no one else can roll on that. But okay, so the next thing is so the double tier token drops are now in. That's where 2 tokens for tier 4. At least we haven't tested Kara yet. We don't know if Kara's dropping 2
No,
tokens.
Kara does not drop 2 tokens.
Does not. Okay.
Just
So
a 25.
which makes sense because Kara's only 10 man, but like the
I could be
25 man.
I'm seeing an incredulous look from Hamsterwheel.
Oh, it. Wait a minute. It doesn't. Well, what is it right now? It just drops 1 token.
So for
Or-
phase 1, 25
Yeah.
man's only dropped 1 tier token per boss, and now they're gonna drop 2.
Okay. Well, again,
Yeah.
most of my TBC experience, when I play TBC, like retail TBC, I didn't do any sort of rating. Maybe Karazhan once, and most of my TBC rating experience is from private service. So I mean, I could say like, well, it dropped in private service, but then again, it was Phoenix Archangel, which was a pretty scuffed private server, so it probably wasn't the right way. It was
What
supposed
dropped
to go.
there? What dropped there?
Always
Was it
2,
2?
always 2, always
Yeah.
2.
I think
Tier
that was
4,
something
tier
that
5.
I swear I think that it got changed pretty quickly, but
I
I don't
think it
know.
was. I think it was a change somewhere in the first amount of changes for TBC. I don't know why they didn't just start us with it because 25 bans for this
Yeah.
entire phase felt really bad.
I think it was to justify having a really long phase 1 because it's just like,
Yeah.
well, we want you to give you time to get all your tier, and then they reduce the dropping rate of the tier so that it lasts longer. Because I mean, people are going into this phase 2.
Would we have done Mag and Gruul if everybody had their stuff?
Gruul, yes.
Gruul, yes, just because
And
of
Mag, everyone had their
Dragon
stuff
Spine
pretty much.
Trophy and the
Yeah,
blade.
Mage's Blade. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
But 1
Alright.
token, that is so rough,
It was
man.
bad.
was rough.
It's been
On
awful.
Phoenix, it would drop 3. Like literally, I was a druid, and one time they dropped. I don't which one was it? Like the champion or whatever. Either the druid token dropped, where I had 3 chances of getting the shoulders.
Well, imagine.
Wow.
I mean,
1 token.
I was crunching the numbers on this. So phase 1 was 3.5 months, right? But so you had 3.5 months. It's so possible for your tier shoulders to not drop. It's like very statistically possible to not drop like in 6 kills of something. It's like it's so hard
Yeah.
for your whole raid to get the right things if you have bad luck with the drops. Like if you're not getting the druid warrior shoulders to drop, then all your druids and warriors are like, what the heck? We're
Yeah,
not gonna have
exactly.
them going in to phase 2, which I think is mostly the case. We mostly have it, but it wouldn't surprise me that there are plenty of guilds that are missing this tier stuff as tier 5 comes out. So kind of
Well, and
silly
there's
if
a
they
lot
do
of
it
classes that
again.
didn't need
Warlocks still
right?
need shoulders. We
Yeah.
still have 2 or 3 warlocks that still need shoulders.
Yeah. The Void Heart's
Stupid.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. Like I'm still using blue. It's my only blue is shoulders. Makes
So
me
who is
sad.
Priest like combined with? Is it Warlock and
Which
Mage?
priest is warrior druid?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's why you said
Hunter, Mage,
Warrior Druid,
Warlock.
because
Yeah.
none of the priests rolled
Yeah,
against you guys.
priests don't care about it.
Yeah.
But T5's out now, so it's sort of like it's cool that 2 T4 tokens are dropping, but a lot of the T4 users use tier 5, and like a lot of people didn't get a chance to get their tier. It's a little bizarre.
Well,
Can you talk about the
you're
fact
probably
that a
going to use 2
token
and 2 a lot for a bit though. Like cuz I mean the 2 set bonus on Warlock for tier 4 is pretty dang good. Like 135
I mean, I don't know
spell
anything
power.
about
God,
warlocks.
yes.
Yeah, it's pretty dang good. So
It's
you
insane.
probably
Can we talk
mix
about
and
the fact that
match.
it's a warrior who wears plate, a druid who wears leather, and a priest who wears cloth, like
That's
all in
because
the same token?
that's because you're not getting a so in Nax, you are receiving a piece of gear. You're receiving a desecrated
Yeah.
like piece of item that would be then repaired with the stuff that you gave them. So like you hand in leather scraps to repair the armor. Now we're just getting a token that we're bringing to our to Scryer or Aldor, and we're exchanging it with gear they already have. So we're just like, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
They're just
It's like
saying, hey,
money.
yeah, it's like money. It's currency almost. Like, oh, this is proof that you slew High King Mulgar. You are now worthy
Yeah.
of the shoulders.
And they have a
Yeah.
backdoor room with like stacks and stacks of tier 4 shoulder. All right, pick
Yeah.
that one there, dude.
You're
Hey,
like, bro,
hey,
can I
I'm
just
feeling-
like
Why
pay
can't
you for
give one to
one?
my friend?
Yeah, exactly.
Slip one
Come
out
on,
the
It'd be a lot
back door,
easier.
dude. Just have it fall off the truck.
Old
Their
buddy,
whole
old
goal-
pal.
Their whole goal, the Aldor and Scryer, is to like kill Illidan pretty much. It's like, we would kill Illidan better if you just handed us all this gear. Like,
Exactly.
we'd have
Come on.
a much
Hook us
higher
up.
chance.
Like, I know you
Why
got a few
do you need
spares.
arcane tomes to enchant me? Just enchant me.
Oh man.
Oh god.
And then the blue PvP reputation gear is available on the main factions, the main ones that you do for heroics. You do need, unlike when they came out in Sunwell, which was so late and weird, in original TBC, you had to have honored. You do have to have revered to get those. I wish they would have just made it honored, because alts are probably going to be honored. Like, just let them have this blue PvP gear. Come on, like, who want more
Yeah,
PvP?
that's- Little okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The effort
Yeah.
to entry is just so high,
To-
right?
To me, well, they're bringing it early, right? So it was honored when it originally came out as catch-up. I think now what this is like, hey, you idiot PvEers who don't want to come PvP, I know you're revered with all of these factions. Like, it's almost not supposed to be alt gear. It's supposed to be like main PvEer who doesn't want to go do BGs
Maybe,
can now
yeah.
buy this.
Here, have
Yeah.
some blue welfare PvP gear.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how we
bad
call
out-
it on private service, the welfare gear.
Yeah,
You run into
yeah.
someone without resilience at this stage, and it's like, this is awesome.
Oh, dude, it's
You
so
guys,
squishy.
I just got so much more resilience, and like we went into arena and I felt like I was like, man, I'm like doing really good. And then I realized like, okay, maybe I'm not doing that much better. Maybe I just have like 150 more resilience than I
Yeah,
did
it's
last
got
time I was in here.
340 resilience.
It's a totally different game, because before I would usually be with a healer who doesn't have any resilience, just because we're just playing with guildies, right?
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, I need to try to make a huge play to kill somebody. Like, I really need to kill somebody as soon as possible. Now that people have resilience, you can play real warrior and actually just out mana the other team, like how you're supposed to play. Like, you're actually able to, the healer can survive now, so you can take your time and like actually win with strategy, as opposed to being like, come on, Mace Spec, like, here, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
like Bob will be like at the other side and he's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I actually am okay. There's a rogue on me and I'm okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird,
Uh,
but cool.
Yeah, that's one thing to say about twos with Warrior Druid. Like, if you're playing like another twos Warrior Druid, like, or comps similar, it's literally all on the Druid. Like, you're just getting CC'd, like,
Yep.
like your Druid is doing everything. Whereas, like, someone was pointing out to me last night, like, Paladin Warrior, like, feels like the two players do equal parts, you know, like, whereas literally it's twos Warrior Druid is like all on the poor Druid, because the warrior is going to do as much as that druid allows them to do, like their partner druid.
Well, yeah, and like the difference between, other than gear, a good and bad warrior, like the skill floor is you're pretty decent. If you've got the gear, you can still do okay in there. Like, you're not going to outplay another warrior and be like twice as good as them, where you have like 80% health and they're dead, because like you're just that much better. But with a druid, the skill difference between the two druids can be so apart
So
that
crazy.
like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a whole different world. Like, if they're getting good cyclones and they're kiting better,
Yeah, and
you can't win.
they're like literally one of the 2200 teams that we went up against. So we're going on kind of a tangent, but the druid was able to start casting cyclone and hit me with the cyclone the split second the other cyclone ended. I mean,
Wow.
it was just
swear
like,
is not a thing. I
it was
swear I
nuts.
cannot cast Cyclone on somebody who is Cycloned. They're like not
Well,
even
no, you have to
targetable.
time it with they probably have a server ticker or whatever, and they're timing it with like
Yeah, they're
when the
timing
tick
it
will actually
perfectly.
drop.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
cast it on
Okay.
top of it, it'll say immune, but like they're
No,
literally
it like
timing it
won't
perfect.
even let me cast it.
Huh,
Like,
that's weird.
I
You
mean,
should
Maybe,
be able to
maybe I'm wrong.
cast it. You should be able to cast it.
yeah, you should be able
It
because
just won't be able to come out.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was watching him do it and I'm like, are you kidding me? And then he does 3 of them. Then he perfectly times the root and he just runs off and goes and helps his warrior buddy kill
Yeah.
you. And I'm just like, man, outplayed,
It's
outplayed.
crazy because you
But
gotta
then you're
time
on
that with your
15
GGDs
second.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, then you're on 15-second diminishing returns, and Cyclone doesn't. You're immune to Cyclone at that point.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but the
just
amount of
for a
damage that
short time.
didn't get put out is the thing. Like, because in healer DPS, like a lot, at least for warrior. But I would assume you're not. You'd play DPS if your whole point was to burst, right? So for the most
Right.
part, you are playing an attrition game. If you stop Bob from doing DPS for 20 seconds, it's like they're doing a lot better. If you're getting beat up
Oh
the whole
yeah.
time,
Yep.
so it does
I
make it.
love rooting warriors. It's like they get so mad. Like I had this warrior follow me around a battleground because I just kept rooting and cycloning him and rooting him and cycloning him. He like ran into 12 people at one base just to kill me. Like he was just so mad.
All right, well, back off the tangents. Um, so the next thing is the tier 5 raids, not a bug list. So basically, they like tuned to try to create the pre-nerf stuff, and I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of pre-nerf stuff on private servers. Like, do any of these jump out to you, Hamster? Like,
All right.
because like I'm like you who didn't really I PvP'd the majority of TBC, went back to PvE and Wrath, so like I don't really know how different this is. Do any of them jump
Well,
out at you
Hamster
yet?
thinks about it. I'll give my impressions before we get a real answer. I feel like most TBC private servers did whatever they wanted to some of
Yes.
these bosses. They weren't as like purist, I feel like. Uh because like they say the reason they're doing this is because no one remembers these pre-nerf like bosses. Like they're like these are right because no one actually remembers doing them then. But
Yeah.
what are your impressions from
I mean, yeah, most TBC private servers were all post nerf stuff. It was all based on that very late 2.4.3 core. So I mean, even with heroics were. I mean, I can't. Maybe some private servers had uh, pre nerf heroics. Most had post nerf heroics. So like the stories I've heard from you guys and the stories I heard from other YouTubers where heroics were really hard, that was really foreign to me. I mean, some heroics were
yeah.
still hard, but not as hard. So
They keep getting easier with gear, so I imagine heroics are going to be a silly joke by the time we're in all tier 5 and especially tier 6.
I remember I was saying when I went to do Sethic because we've been doing it daily. The first time, I think Sethic Halls was one of the first heroics we tried because we were exalted with Lower City like as soon as we hit 70, or not exalted, revered. So we did like Shadow Labs, super simple. We did like Crypts, a little bit rough. We went to Sethic and
yeah,
those first mobs that Thunderclap just like
yeah.
wipe us immediately. And that's my experience of Sethic Halls. I'm like, dude, Sethic sucks. I don't want to go to Sethic. Oh, we went back and it's like, what is this? This is so easy now. I was
Yeah.
thinking about fresh 70 and like my 60 gear, and it's just like, oh yeah. Heroics as a guild run, and I pugged a lot of heroics. Like most of my heroics I've pugged. And now it's just like a full guild run is just, oh, okay. I forgot that this is what we can do now.
Yeah. I hate the Altus Sethic, but the heroic version drops that epic staff. Is one of the like
Yeah.
the unless you're like not let's not count rep. It's one of the best pre-raid caster items in game. So
Yeah.
and I was a caster, so I had like many I balanced through it. Even elemental shaman is good. Like many other casters I wanted to have it, so I always had to go to Sethic also. I was like, oh, not
Oh,
again.
gosh.
But it was just so damn good. I couldn't
Yeah.
skip it. So
I don't know. Should
Right.
we read it off or just put it in the notes for people to look at? If
Just
Let's
put
put
it
it
in
in
the
the notes.
notes. We
There's
gotta.
just one thing that I think is really funny to me. It makes it seem like maybe the blue posts, some of these guys were maybe getting into arguments in the forums or something. Because the way this is worded for Morgrim Tidewalker, the Tidewalker Lurker ads summoned by Morgrim Tidewalker do indeed have the correct amount of health. It's like how many people were complaining, like, this isn't right. Like, what a way to phrase that.
Indeed,
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
throws a little bit of shade at that. Right?
Do
Yeah.
indeed. Yeah.
Like, we're
Agreed.
right, you're wrong. This is not a bug list.
Leave us alone.
But yeah, you guys can look at that. It's really not, honestly. And a lot of people are like this if they haven't experienced these raids yet. Like, you're not even gonna know what any of this like
Yeah.
means. Bob,
You're
you're muted.
muted.
Oh, okay. Sorry. On to the next thing is the Burning Crusade Classic Phase 2 known issues. Okay, I will read these. Tempest Keep the Eye. There's an issue with Kael'thas Sunstrider that will occasionally cause the main tank to be wiped from Kael'thas threat list during Phase 3 of the encounter.
Yeah, good thing that we had that testing phase for these bosses. Really
I know.
good. Really sick to watch a world first where we know that TK is just dropping threat on the main warrior tank. Just like, or the main tank, just randomly.
Hopefully they get it fixed soon, but still cool to
Yeah.
know. Guild banks. Only the guild master may manipulate guild bank tabs and icons, even if the checkbox to modify guild bank tabs is selected for other lower ranks in the guild control panel. Swapping stacks of items with another stack of items within a guild bank tab will count as a withdraw against your daily allowance of withdrawals for the tab.
Which is interesting that they're classifying this as a bug. And I could be wrong here, but I remember this being a thing for like ever. For like a really long time. If you accidentally swapped, like you're going to raid and you're going to go pull a flask out and you swapped flasks, you would lose your withdrawal. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
Wait a minute.
just to let everybody know, it's not talking about like you taking an item from your bag, putting it in over top an item and swapping it.
It means
It's
moving
talking
them.
about you dragging one and accidentally letting go or lagging out, and it drops to another tab on the guild bank.
Yeah, which I remember doing in the past. So it's a bug, but it's like
I
maybe
wonder if
this
they
should be on
fixed
the
it in
working.
retail at
I
some
mean,
point.
it was a
They probably
bug
fixed it in
back
retail.
then.
Right.
Like,
Shouldn't it be like we're preserving this bug?
yeah, I feel like I'm
Uh,
glad they're not saying like this is the way it was in Classic. So
But
we're
this is-
preserving the game
This is what
for
we were
all of
like.
those people.
I don't know if you guys like. This is what we were like in Classic Vanilla. When this was coming out, everyone would be like, "Leave the bug in. We gotta
Oh
the
my God.
purity." Everyone is so
1.1, no
over this.
changes.
Yeah.
No.
Oh man. Well, yeah, the no changes was specifically, I mean, just to give everybody a break, it was specifically because nobody trusted Blizzard to actually do the
I
right
know.
changes. And
Make
we've
good
seen that they were
changes.
right, because with the good changes they did give us came the boost and everything else. But we're not going to get into that. We've
not
already
go there.
aired grievances on that, and it's over. Water under the bridge. All right, sorry. So Progress gets the world first clear of both Serpentshrine, Cavern, and Tempest Keep. Now, do you guys know? Did they do them with two different raids simultaneously?
No, they did them the same.
So
It
why
was- it
didn't
was
somebody else start on Black Temple so they'd get the first?
You mean Tempest Keep?
Tempest
That's
Keep,
just
sorry.
not. I don't think that anyone would have considered that to be clearing the raid world first.
You think so?
Some guilds started on Tempest Keep and some started SSC, but no one would have considered two split raids clearing it as
I
a world
see.
first. What you want to do is
They're
we're
counting the
world
two
first
raids as
raid.
one.
Right, yeah. That guild might have been the first as to clear it, but you wouldn't be the first raid to clear it, so I don't think that they were doing that. What was interesting, a lot of them shut off their streams on how they were getting to Tempest Keep, which I thought was interesting. And I was like, are they doing that just so they don't get grief? That could be one thing. But I was
Maybe,
watching
yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
Safe stream, and they were mentioning that it was to one, not get grief, but they don't want to see like exactly where they're going. And I was like, how many options do they have to get to Tempest Keep? There's
Yeah.
one
I
entrance.
also think
Yeah.
it was probably to discuss strategy, right? They
Could
didn't
also-
want
Okay,
that to be
yeah.
on stream where
Could be
like,
their
other
summoning location.
competitor people who were going for
Yeah.
world first, like us, like we
But you
would
can't
have
summon a Tempest Keep.
monitored that.
Oh, you can't summon in Shadow Moon Valley?
Dude, why do you
Oh,
think we're going to
Tempest
Black
Keep.
Temple?
Yeah, I
You
keep
thinking
thinking
we're going
Black
to Black
Temple. Oh my gosh, yeah, Tempest Keep. Okay.
Yeah, you can't summon Netherstorm. So I saw some people go to like area 52 or whatever, and some people went
Yeah.
to like the closer one. Some people went to Stormspire. One guild went to Stormspire. I think either Progress or not Progress. Either no, it was Progress or Beef Bar did that. I think. But that was it was a pretty good watch. Watching it live was pretty cool because Beef Bar, their Vash kill was like 30 seconds after. It was
Wow.
neck and neck. It really like they were like pulling at the same time for both of these fights. It all just came down to Progress having better DPS. So it was actually really cool to watch the fights unfold. But then like at the same time, everyone everyone was really nervous because we knew about the KT bug that on one of these fights it could just drop and like mess up one of these
Yeah.
skills from actually completing it. But I don't think it happened to either of them. And there's like a minute difference between that world first. So
Wow.
salad or not salad, not salad bakers. Progress and Beef Bar did really well. It was really cool to watch.
Nice. Well,
Keep having salad bakers in
congrats.
my head.
Yeah, congrats. All right, and so the last thing, the Darkmoon cards are not in Phase 2. Now, I had forgotten about these, but after reading some of the tooltips, I remembered them. But yeah, I guess people thought that they were going to be in, but
I'm
they're
so
not
glad they're
coming.
not. I thought they were gonna be in too, and that was a big reason why I was not gonna craft my other Goblin Rocket trinket. Because I was like, well, there's a better stamina trinket coming. And then I forgot, and then I crafted my Goblin trinket, and I was like, oh, they're not in. Nice. I'm not gonna have to like go spend more money to get one of these.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically stamina trinkets. Well, all except for one. The Now the madness one. Do you remember what the power of madness is? It's like each time you get a killing blow that yields experience or honor, you gain the power of madness, and I forget what that was.
Yeah, so there was a bunch of different things that it could be, I thought. Depending on what class you are. So I have a couple of them. If you're so I think it's random what you get. So you have delusional plus 70 attack power. Only rogue, hunter, paladin, warrior, druid, shaman can get it. You can have plus 5% or minus 5% damage or healing, plus 35 agility, plus 35 haste, plus 35 stam. Damn it, plus damage, plus it's just a bunch of different random buffs. And then certain only classes that like you're not gonna get intellect on a warrior. You're not gonna get strength on a mage. So you're gonna get something that fits you, but it is random, I think, every time it
Yeah.
procs.
Yeah, see, I remember getting the Darkmoon card Crusade on my rogue when I worked him up at the very end of TBC because I was planning on having him for my main and Wrath. And so I remember because it was like the cards were super cheap at that point. It was like
Yeah.
late Phase 6. And I remember grabbing it just, to use to like work up when Wrath came out. And so that was all I really knew of the cards. So kind of interested to see how those go because I wasn't really impressed with the cards in vanilla. Not like I was originally in vanilla. Like I thought the
I'll be
cards were
honest,
the bee's knees
I
when
I don't
back
think
in the day.
these cards aren't gonna beat raid gear. I don't think for the most part. I don't think. So I don't think they're gonna be that crazy. The stamina is good for like tanks and stuff,
Yeah,
but
maybe druid stamina trinkets could be, but yeah. All right, well, that is the news. As far as most stuff, there was a bug with the Ogre Law stuff, but it has since been fixed. One of the prereq quests, so no reason to really talk about that. So let's move into discussion. All right, it's time to get to know Hamsterwheel. So let's just get a little background about you. We love to do this with new guests. We love to find out the person behind the content. And I'm sure you've done different things, and if someone watches all your videos, they know. But like, we want to do an actual interview, and we think it's fun. So, when did you
Okay.
start playing WoW, and how long did you play for? Like, how many
how
expansions?
retail did you get?
Yeah, not much actually. I started playing WoW in 2005, I think, because in America it released in 2004, and in Europe in 2005. It was like patch
Yeah.
1.3 when it, yeah. So I started in 2005. It was like the classic scenario. It was when you go over to your friend's house and they have the hot new game, and then you
Hmm.
watch them play it or you play with them. And I had this one friend who always had the latest games or game console. It happened with him having a Nintendo 64, and you had 4 controllers. And I was like, oh my God, we can play the 4 of us?
Oh, that was the
Mario
most
Kart?
amazing thing. Like when someone
Yeah, it
had the
was like,
4 controllers.
and he had the Super Nintendo before, which was all like pixelated 16-bit, and then went to like 3D graphics. I was blown away. And at one point, he had World of Warcraft. And I knew very little about MMORPGs. I did not know about EverQuest. I did know RuneScape because when this like this era, I was in high school. I was like 14, 15 years old. So there were kids playing RuneScape in the library of my high school.
You're
So
speaking Yip's language. He is a
yeah,
RuneScape lover.
Yeah,
nice.
I was playing RuneScape during recess in middle school,
Oh yeah, you're one of those
in the
people I
library. I was in
saw.
the library playing RuneScape, yeah.
Yeah, like
Working on your typing skills,
yeah. So I did not know much about MMORPGs. So I went over to his house and he had World of Warcraft, and I was like, this is all like very long ago, but I think I did play Warcraft 3 before, so I was familiar with the Warcraft concept, but I wasn't familiar with MMOs. And he showed me, I was just blown away because back then I used to play like shooters and like some RTS, and it was always like this. You had this level, but it was like this corridor, and you had to shoot 10 Germans, and then you would move on to the next thing. And then he showed me like, oh no, this is just like this. He showed me the Valley of Trials. It's like, no, you can go anywhere in this zone, and if you kill this mob, you can get stuff, and then a mob will respawn. Like, I can do this infinitely? Like, yeah, you can do this infinitely, but you also gain experience. Like, I was just
Wasn't
completely...
it just, the biggest thing you'd ever seen in your life? See, I didn't have that for World of Warcraft, but I had it for
Yeah.
Ultima Online because I'm a little bit older.
Oh, yeah, I remember
So,
that game.
So, like, I was just like, what is this?
Yeah,
It's just...
exactly that. Yes. And so technically my first character I made on his account just to try it out was an Orc Hunter. So that was because they all played Horde.
so
He
you
had
were
an
horde from birth.
Yes, Horde
Oh.
from birth. It was just, yeah, it was
I
just
guess we
because
can't blame you then, right? Like you were just born
no.
into it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And all my friends played World of Warcraft, so they were all Horde. So was I gonna be the one not Horde player? Like, come on.
Hell
No,
no.
I mean,
Go be
yeah,
a follower,
You
Hamsterwheel.
were
Like, come
kids
on.
back then. You guys were kids back then. I get it. You went hard.
Of course, I wanted to be the edgy guy with the medal and everything. Yeah. Even though
You
my
didn't have any
first
girls in
character.
your group, did you?
No.
Yeah, there was no no.
No, exactly. It was all boys.
Yeah, talking girls into playing vanilla on the Horde side was pretty hard back then.
Nope.
Yeah.
At least the girls we knew. I
yeah.
don't want to say every girl. Please don't at me.
Well, I mean, let's face it. When World of Warcraft came out, it was like mid 2000. This was when gaming/nerd culture was still kind of, how do you say, obscure, if you will. It wasn't
Listen, I'm
mainstream.
still a closet gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only since virtual has become a thing have they noticed like I have a DX Racer, right? And they're like, "Hey, are you a gamer?" And I'm like, "Whoa. No.
Whoa.
No, my
No.
husband bought that for me.
Yeah.
Weird
Like,
guy.
Yeah, just like race cars. This is a race car chair. This is
Yeah,
not a gaming
right?
chair.
It's comfy.
I like
okay?
NASCAR.
Oh yeah, I understand. So yeah, that's when I started playing, like 2005. So yeah, and my
Nice.
first character that I played myself was a Tarn Druid. So
Nice. Well,
Okay.
so how long did you play for? Did you raid a lot? You already told us you didn't raid a lot in BC, but like just tell us kind of what you did and how long you played for.
okay, so I rolled a Tarn Druid. First of all, just the Mulgore is just, it's amazing. I mean, the whole
it is pretty cool.
atmosphere. I'm a sucker for like green, like just very realistic nature zones, if you will. So I like that.
And
I
the
was
the city is pretty neat. And the elevators,
Yeah,
although
yeah.
annoying now, were pretty dang cool. Like back in
Yeah.
the day.
One of
What
the
do you think
first
about
things
the
I
mud
wondered.
huts
Sorry?
in Ogmar? What do you think about the mud huts?
Okay,
in Ogmar?
hold on. Let's here
I
in
mean,
Mulgore.
I mean, I thought Orgrimmar, but the thing is, like, initially I thought it was impressive, but I played Horde. I wasn't aware of Stormwind or Ironforge. I didn't know what it was. I was like, I was a level 12 Tarn Druid running around doing whatever. So I was like, I didn't know what to compare it to until later. I was like, oh, you guys have an actual city.
Dude,
Yeah, I will
Ironforge
not.
is pretty dang cool. It's like when I
Yeah,
first saw it, I was like, this is like the mines of Moria before
yeah,
they were
exactly.
they were abandoned. Oh my god, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm sure I've told the story before. I don't tell it a lot because it's embarrassing. But my first character was a Tauren also. Tauren can be hunters,
Nice.
right? I think I was a Tauren hunter. Can they be hunters? Seems
Yep.
Oh
wrong.
yeah.
Yep.
Seems weird.
No,
But
their whole
They've
tribe
just
is
got the
I feel like
bow
I've,
and it's
I feel like
really
I've
little.
never
It's
I've
like-
never seen a Tauren hunter in the wild. I feel like they're all orcs. Am I crazy? Like,
Yeah.
but anyway,
it's probably you probably saw a lot of them back in the day, just like we
back
saw
in
a
the day.
ton of night elf,
Yeah, that's just what
rogues
it
back
is,
in the
yeah.
day. But now it's
Uh,
everybody mid maxes.
So like the second quest, like level 2 or something, maybe I don't know. You have to go kill some boars, like quill boars,
Yep.
and I died, and I was like, oh, that was rough. And I went back and I tried to kill the quill boar again, and I died. And my brother Bingo, he's like, horde mode, horde is hard mode. You should try alliance. It's easier, and that's why I'm alliance.
And he was
Wow.
just talking out of his ass. He
The
had no
truth
idea.
comes
Yeah.
out.
Listen, I switched to dwarf, and I didn't die. All right, I didn't die. I was
Okay.
able to
Hey, this
kill
is cool,
what
man.
was there.
But
Listen,
sorry,
I'm
sorry.
Alliance because they were prettier.
Yeah.
It's
mean,
true, but they are like objectively prettier. I mean,
Yes.
but
Except
you
for
guys do
Blood
have
Elf.
gnomes, so that does take you down a few pegs. I mean, come
Hey,
on,
leave
like,
us alone.
gnomes really.
Gnomes rule.
But I
Okay,
can't cast them yet.
No.
Like, come on.
gnomes are like a meme though. Like it's funny that you're saying you hate gnomes, but it's like if you hate trolls, it's not that funny. It's just like I hate these. It's like they're not, like why are they walking? Why are there like Jamaican trolls walking around talking about
That is
voodoo?
true.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
Voodoo
weird.
bun.
They're like,
Yeah.
Gnomes are like the joke. Like they're
yeah,
just
gnomes
funny.
are funny.
Like they got like this little like crazy hair. They're
You can pun
so
'em.
tiny. You
All
can't
right,
find
sorry,
them.
sorry.
Yes,
Continue,
yes.
continue.
Yeah. So yeah, I rolled a Tarn Druid. I loved it. And again, I didn't know anything about the classes or anything. I just like you, like I just went with whatever my friends told me because they were like level 34, and back then I was like, oh my god, they know so much. But
That was
Of course,
actually a
level 34.
triumph back in the day, like early on in the game.
So they told me, like, listen, okay. They told me, okay, when you get to level 10, you get your talents, you got to go feral, which is good advice. But they also told me, you're a Tarn Druid, you should get intellect and spirit gear. So I leveled feral with intellect and spirit gear. So it took me
Oh,
ages
dude,
to
you're speaking my language. My first
Yeah.
character was a mage, and I wanted to be a battle mage. So I had like a sword with like agility on it. Like
Nice.
it was
Yo.
hilarious.
Yeah. So they told me that, and in dungeons it was kind of nice because they did tell me you should heal. Like, okay, but out in the world, I was like, why am I doing so little damage? I don't know. And then it was later I figured out like, oh, I gotta get strength and agility. So, but I pressed on and I got to. I was actually, this is something I'm kind of proud of. Um, so I played with a whole clique of friends, and one of those friends, when they were like 50-ish, they got the warden staff. Well, this is like
Ooh.
2005. Okay, this was before, people like, oh, stats this poison. It was purple. It was just purple.
Yeah, that's
It
all
was
that
like
mattered.
I
That's all that
literally
mattered.
equipped it. Like this was after my battle mage phase, but like I was
Yeah.
level 55 mage and equipped the freaking warden staff
Wait, the mage?
Dude,
as a
The
mage.
mage?
It was purple,
It was
just like he
purple.
just said. It was purple.
yeah, and it looked badass. Like
It
that
looked really
graphic
cool.
staff, like the glowing the same graphics with the glowing Briarwood staff. It looked badass. Like back then,
Mhm.
when there was like it was amazing. So my friend was like, "Yo, I got the staff for you, and it's really good." It was kind of good for feral druid, but for tanking, even though I never tanked in dungeons.
That's funny.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
I really wanted the staff because it was purple and it looked awesome. So I got it, but he wanted 140 gold for it. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But keep in mind, back then, any purple
That
would
was
go
a
for like
lot of money.
hundreds. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
back then
and I
it
could have
was
sold it instead of equipping it. Oh, that's still I'm upset with myself.
yeah,
You
exactly.
want your retail gold, Bob? Just you put $20 into the game and you can have 250,000 of it.
There you go.
Who
Yep,
cares?
exactly. But that staff, I mean, it was a good deal. I got it for like 140 gold. It was worth like 200 something. So I got a good deal.
Yeah.
But the problem was I didn't have 140 gold. So it's like, you know what? If you give me the staff, I will farm mobs and I will give you the money eventually. Okay? And just I paid off every single penny. But what I did from level 42 to 45, 3 levels straight, I went to Feralus because I was like, okay, I gotta farm money. And again, I had no idea how to do it. Could have collected herbs or skinning, but had no idea how the game worked. So
Right.
I just went to Feralus. Yeah, Feralus. Where you had the ogres. Like there were level 40-ish something ogres. And I just farmed those. Like I farmed the cloth, I farmed the
Oh my
money. I was
god.
like, this is a great way to farm money. Little did I know it was garbage, but I didn't know any better. Spent 3 levels straight farming there, farming the money. And at some point, I got the blazing emblem. I don't know if you guys know this trinket in classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a trinket with like passive fire resistance, and when you use it, you get extra fire
Non-used.
resistance.
Yeah.
Basically, back then with molten core, oh, you gotta have fire resistance. It was huge.
Mhm.
So when I got that, I was like, nice, and I sold it for 80 gold, and I paid off every single
Wow.
penny. So
That's incredibly lucky for
yeah,
all the
and I was
rares you'd be getting in the 40s.
exactly. And then I was this druid, and you keep in mind, I was a druid with intellect spirit gear. I was feral spec, but I had the feral staff. Now
Okay.
you would get laughed at, like, dude, what the hell are you doing? But back then, people were like, oh my god, where did you get this staff?
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
amazing. Oh my god, dude. So I,
People didn't know back
They were
then,
like,
right?
"You have
Like, they were
armor."
just like, "Oh, it's
yeah,
purple." Like, nobody
Yeah.
looked at stats. Like, it was
exactly.
like, "Hey, I'm a druid. I should have intellect and spirit."
Well,
Like,
and
Yeah.
to be fair,
that's all.
stats were all over the freaking place too.
Oh
Like
yeah,
we've talked
absolutely.
Oh,
about
yeah.
that. Like
Yep.
Yeah, Blizzard thought that feral druids were supposed to have spirit and intellect also.
It
They didn't know.
feels like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they actually
exactly.
literally did. Like lots of the
Uh,
stuff was actually geared towards that. Like just look at your tier 1 gear and you're like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
That was weird. Okay.
Yep. So let's see. Yeah, so I just pressed on. I eventually got to level 60 after months and months, and I started raiding with my friends. Um, and this is really cool because I still have screenshots from way back to 2006. Because at some point I made a bunch of screenshots and I made it into a slideshow in Windows Movie Maker with some crappy new metal music or whatever. And I still had that video I saved, so I just made the screenshots of the screenshots I had in that video. But I was in a guild, so I was able to remember all of this kind of because of those pictures. So I was in a guild. I played on Dragon Maw EU. That was my original server, and we eventually moved to Frostmain because Dragon Maw became very popular with people. And there was this running joke that Dragon Maw was called Lagan Maw because there were just so many
Mhm.
people and it was
oh,
just awful. So we migrated to Frostmain, and I played with a guild called Legio Oxisio. All my friends were in there, and we actually had a live guild meetup once in Amsterdam. So that was really
that's pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah, and we went to this like internet cafe when they were still a thing, and we played games there. It was really cool. So it was, I don't know, it was like a pretty decent guild. I mean, we did multicore, we did Nixia, Black Malaire, um, and as a druid, I had to go resto. This is one thing that I didn't really like, but I had because I was healing in dungeons and I had to heal in raids. Like for some reason, the rest, healing was never my thing. But I didn't know about any of these other specs. I mean, I kind of knew Feral because I kind of leveled as a cat form, and I had Starfire as a spell, but I never used it. So I just never really knew the potential of the Druid class. And I started raiding as a healer, and I was just healing. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I remember this quite vividly. And if you guys can find this PvP video, I will give you no joke $50 or something. There was one guy. This was way before YouTube. This was before. This was when people uploaded their PvP videos to video.google.com. That's literally how
Oh,
it was. I know, before YouTube. This is how
Or there was
Unbreakable.
This is when you use Ventrilo
was
instead
Yeah,
of
exactly.
there was a site like Wow Vids or something. I
Yeah,
forget.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a
Warcraft
couple
videos or
Warcraft
something.
Yeah,
videos.
Warcraft
Yeah.
videos, I think is what it was.
Yeah, that's how the Unbreakable, the shaman, got his like fame because he uploaded to video.google and also Warcraft videos or Warcraft movies.
Yeah, Warcraft
There-
movies, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There was this one guy who played a druid. He was called, I think he was called Agrobot or something. It was a half-hour PvP footage, and he showed all the specs. And a half-hour PvP video was just crazy back then. And he started off with Feral, and he showed like crazy, like 2K Ravage crits, and I was like, oh my god, this is a lot of damage. Then he went into Resto, where he was kind of hanging in the back, healing people, dispelling, casting roots. And then he saved the best for last, which was Balance. And I remember this like this clear as day, because in his Resto part, he was like, it's not all about honorable kills, and he shows the Resto play, and then the screen goes black, and no joke, I still remember the song. It was Dance Dance from Fall Out Boy. I don't know if you guys know that song.
Oh, I definitely know the song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Screen
Yeah.
was black. That song came on. And he had this text like, "Remember how I said it wasn't about honorable kills? I was wrong." And then was the balance segment. Okay, and this was back when you could still use two trinkets at the same time. Like, yeah, there was this era in World of Warcraft where he was able to use the Zandalar and Hero Charm and the Talisman of Ephemeral Power at the same time. So if you'd pop those, you get like 380 spell damage. It was insane. So this guy, he was running around with balanced gear. He popped those two trinkets and literally 3,000 Starfire crits. And at that point, I was like, what is this? This entire
I
spec I've
need this.
ignored for so long. I need this in my life. So at that point on, I started working towards being a balanced druid, which back then was like crazy. Every druid was resto.
Right.
There was maybe
Yeah,
one or two like
even
feral
being
druids. Yeah.
even being feral was crazy. I had a friend, Neutrino, and I had a lot of story actually reminded me of a lot of things. When we were doing our really good guild in vanilla, it was not Burning Legion. We transferred somewhere like before BWL, the server was full. We transferred off of Burning Legion to Mugthal. We were on Mugthal. I'd completely forgotten
Wow.
about that.
It was
Then
sabotaged, by the way.
you
was
had
a guild name.
asked about Amsterdam earlier, and I misconstrued that for Copenhagen, which is why I said Denmark and Aarhus. So
Oh,
that's something I realized. And then my friend was one of the few feral druids that would sit outside Iron Forge and just
wow.
duel every day, and he was feral, and he'd beat everybody. Like the only people he
Wow.
couldn't beat were warlocks. Like he'd still beat a lot of them, but not 100%. But sorry, you just
I was a
made me think a
druid.
bunch
Yeah,
of
that's
things
awesome.
during that story.
I was a druid in vanilla, so I
Nice.
feel your pain here.
Yeah.
You were an innervate bot in vanilla.
Yep. Yeah, but it's very good that you mentioned this, because the reason why in early vanilla you had to go resto was because the 31 talent point in resto was innervate, and later they changed it to swiftment. And because they did that, innervate was now your own spell. You didn't need a talent, so it kind of freed up druids to be a little bit more. You could go this or that or whatever.
Right.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna first try. I first tried 20031. So I had still Swiftman because I didn't have the gear yet to go balance,
hmm
but I wanted to mess around with Starfire. And if you put 20 points in balance, you can get Vengeance, which basically gives your spells, your offensive spells, 100% critical strike damage bonus. So expecting of that, I had a little bit of balance gear, and I started doing Ultric Valley. And this was back when Ultric Valley was old school, just like two giant
would-
groups pushing.
Oh,
So I was
sometimes
able,
take days.
Last for days.
yes,
You'd go to bed, wake
exactly,
up, get in the same game again, and it was
yeah,
only on your server. That was before
yep,
that was before battle groups too.
exactly, yes. So I spec that. I put on what little balance gear I had. I went to Ultric Valley, and I was in that group. I was be able to hang in the back, and I was doing Starfire crits of 1300, which was nothing. But in that moment, I just felt like that guy. And I
Yes.
had that one song from Fall Out Boy playing in my head. Yeah, let's go.
I think my
So at that
favorite
point,
video from the entirety of Warcraft videos is Amish Paradise. Where, where
yeah.
the night elf is walking down the stairs singing it like in Skullomance. Like that
Oh
was the
my
best.
god.
Is
Wait,
there?
in vanilla, was there Boomkin form yet? That
Yep.
came in.
Yeah. You.
Okay. I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah,
so.
you
I was
just
making sure.
never saw it.
You just never saw him. I
Jasmine
get it.
came
Yeah.
boomkin a couple of times. Jasmine boomkinned in vanilla
Oh
like
yeah,
twice
yeah,
in
yeah.
Molten Core.
That's awesome. It's
She tried. He tried.
Um,
Okay.
quick
I will
quick
never
question:
do that.
Is there
Yeah.
any chance that the video was by Dinobot?
yes.
I got it. I found the video. It's
Link me your
Oh,
PayPal.
wow.
sorry. I really oversold it. I found the Warcraft movies page for it, but it's not available for stream. And then you have to have a
Oh.
premium archive to download it. But I'll link it. I got the info of it.
Oh my
Nice.
god. No, but it's this because the years and years and years that I was so hooked up on balance, and the whole reason I discovered druids were so much were capable of so much was because of him. If it wasn't because of him, I might have just quit playing a druid altogether. So this guy really is responsible for me thinking the class was so awesome.
That's
But I'll
awesome.
check it out after the stream.
think
Oh my
I
god,
really
it's
think a
amazing.
lot of us were kind of like that back in the day, though. I remember I
Yeah.
played a hunter, and I remember watching a hunter PvP video with Thunder Fury, just survival and meleeing people down, and I was like, "Whoa,
Dude, that's
Like,
a good
I
point.
gotta."
Because I was a mage, but I didn't actually do any end game stuff with the mage. I switched over to rogue because I saw all the rogue stunlock videos where the undead was in Ironforge just killing people without them being able to move at all. So I was kind of the same way.
Just to interrupt, that is exactly the video. Oh
That's what I
my
thought. I
god.
found it on YouTube, I think.
Nice.
I linked
So-
the YouTube one.
Oh, you already did it.
so
Yeah.
I
Oh,
win.
I wasn't paying
Yeah,
attention.
you
sorry.
win.
We'll
Wow.
stick it in chat for anybody that's
Yeah.
in
Yes.
chat that wants to see
hilarious.
it. That's awesome. Well, hey, we got the video for you. Nice.
I mean, I copy and paste.
No
it,
money,
but
no
you
money
gave it to
needed.
me. Yeah,
Alright.
no money.
It makes it seem like I was really after that $50. That's not not why I did that.
Oh my god. This is the one. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it after stream. Oh
He's
my
like
god.
so nostalgic about it. He's like, I feel like I need to watch this right now.
I want to see. I need to find this video of myself. We had this like number one in our battle group disc priest, and I was on like the number one battle group PvP guild. I wasn't very good. Like I wasn't like one of the good guys. But this disc priest dueled me, and he uploaded it, being like, his name was Mimo, and it was like Mimo toys with Gladiator Warrior, and he just owns me in a duel and put it. He didn't tell me he was gonna put it on YouTube. He's like, "Oh, you want a duel?" Then he just owns me and records it, and I'm like, "Okay, like, what the
Yeah.
hell?"
Yeah, I was pretty good at PvP in vanilla, but Warriors gave me a problem, especially Turbo. I'll never forget Turbo. If you're out there, Turbo, I still hate you.
Oh.
Yeah, because like we would queue together so often because it was before battle groups. So like we would queue together all the time as this Tauren warrior that would just smack me, and he always had a new sword. It's just
Wow.
Turbo. Sorry, like go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, just real quick, I looked up the video where it goes to balance. It's exactly the part where I said it isn't about killing blows. I lied. It's literally all I remember. Jesus.
I
Okay,
cannot
so-
wait to go see that part.
That's awesome.
So I where was I? Anyway, but that's basically what I did for a long time in vanilla. I just joined AV and I started sniping people from a distance, and I also raided. And eventually I got my balance gear together, and then I was like, okay, it's time to commit fully to balance. So I spec balance. My guild was okay with it. And yeah, it was crazy to be,
You
you
say
had to move
okay,
them.
they were like, okay.
Yeah, they're like,
Guess we'll try that.
yeah, they were like, but I was with them for a very long time. It did mean that, I don't know, we had DKP, so we didn't even have loot
Mhm.
council, but they
Yeah.
knew I was like, just a serious raider. I would show up and everything. I mean, I would do no damage. Don't get me wrong. I didn't have full blood fight. I didn't know what spell hit was. But the few times that I did get a critical strike, man, that music was playing. I was like, yeah. So I was probably like one of the only five balanced druids in the entire server. It was super uncommon, but I just liked, and that's when I discovered that ranged spell DPS kind of my mojo, and it was fun. Like I'm a sucker for kind of underdog stories, and being a balanced druid in vanilla is one of the biggest underdog things you can do. So yeah, but eventually I did have to go back to Resto because we were starting to do AQ and of course Next Rammus. With Next Rammus, I couldn't afford to go balance. So we did Next Rammus and AQ40. And then that's when we started to kind of hit a brick wall. We got up to Twin M's, I believe, with my guild. We didn't kill Twin M's. The only two bosses we didn't kill were Twin M's and a Cthulhu, of course. And in Next Rammus, we got like 2 or 3 bosses down. That's it. So we really struggled.
Yeah, we
That's
only
when the
killed
guild-
Cthulhu
yeah.
twice, like
Wow.
over the entirety, and we were
Yeah.
one of the really good guilds on the server.
Yeah, it was rough. Like if you were able to kill Cthulhu, like not even do this Next Rammus, you were already had like this
Well-
this premium status in your server. Like
And I don't know if you guys did it the same way as us. Like in Classic, we did it the opposite. We did the new raids first, and then maybe we'd get in some old raids for some fill gear. We always did all of the old raids first.
Yeah, get as
Then
much
we'd
gear as
see
you
as
can.
far as we could get that week
Exactly.
into AQ or Nax.
this exactly the same way. Yeah. So yeah, we tried Nax. We kind of failed because admittedly we weren't the most hardcore guild ever. We weren't crazy about getting a ton of consumables. So our guild kind of fell apart then. And I also had to kind of quit WoW on my own account because I was failing school. I mean,
Yeah.
putting a lot of time into WoW.
Fair.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I didn't technically quit in vanilla because there was I had a friend of mine who said you can play on my account occasionally, which oh god, I shared accounts 15 years
Oh
ago.
no,
I mean,
you're
sorry,
getting
Blizzard.
banned.
Yeah, exactly. So I played on his account. Yeah, I played on his account and I played an Orc Shaman there. I was Elemental. I messed around in PvP. I remember that quite vividly. And I think at around, I don't know, I think at around season 3 I quit because I remember very vividly being able to purchase season 1 gear for Honor, which
Yep.
was pretty huge deal because it was awesome. And then I quit WoW, and yeah, I think that's kind of where I stopped playing WoW. I stopped playing official WoW for a very long time.
So you
I
never
only
did retail Wrath, huh?
Nope, never.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Never played Retail Wrath, never Retail Kata, Retail Mop, Retail Watt, never did any of that. It was
Yeah.
only in like 2013 where 2 of the friends I used to play with, like Retail Vanilla, like I was at their house, we were hanging out, and usually they would play League of Legends. So we were just hanging out, having a few beers, whatever. And then all of a sudden, they would start up World of Warcraft, and I all of a sudden I saw the original vanilla login screen on their laptop. I was like, "What is this?" And then they explained to me, "Oh, you didn't know? There are private servers out there of vanilla World of Warcraft, and you can play there." And I was like,
You got me
All right.
right. You got me right to my next question. So
We're back in the
yeah,
game.
Tell us
Yep,
about
goodbye,
private
world.
servers. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
like this,
so-
it's something all 3 of us missed. Yip played some on the lead up to Classic.
Yeah, I played on the
Wow.
lead up to like
But we
prepare like
just
which
missed
class do I
it.
want to play, and I was playing in a
Okay.
group, and then I played I did play like Wrath and TBC private servers, but like the
Oh,
ones you
yeah.
would load up for fun to like
Yeah,
jump
yeah,
on
yeah.
boxes and stuff, not to like play.
But what private server did you play on prior to Classic? Like which one was it?
We played on Northdale, and I forget the
Oh,
other
yeah,
one we
yeah,
played
yeah.
on before that. But we played on
Yeah.
2 different ones where I tried being a priest, and then I tried being a warrior, and I ended up being a warrior because my friend didn't want to be the warrior, so he was a paladin. We wanted to be a tank, a DPS, and a healer, so I got stuck with warrior.
Yeah.
Do we have any of those people still with us?
Yeah.
Thunder.
I just played
Wonder.
Warrior because of Turbo.
Yeah, because of Turbo. Well, I played Druid because of Dinobot, so you know, it's like,
Yeah, there you go.
circle of life. Yeah. So so private servers, that's when it all started. When I was hanging out with my friends, they would originally play League of Legends, then they switched to WoW, and it was Phoenix. I don't know if you guys know a little bit about Phoenix.
Mhm.
So
We've heard of
Phoenix,
it.
yeah. So WoW emulation actually started before I think WoW was even released. Like someone got a hold of the code and started emulating, but basically the early projects were all kind of like, they joke private servers where barely anything worked. The few private servers where things actually started to become kind of realistic, so to say, were Vanilla Gaming and Phoenix WoW. And Phoenix WoW was the first private server I played on was their vanilla server. It was 12 times XP rate, which I actually didn't mind because I leveled up a lot in original retail vanilla. On retail vanilla, I had my 60 druid, I had a 54 shaman, I had a 48 mage, I had some like twink rogue and like a 30-ish hunter. So I had a couple of alts, and I was just really curious about characters at end game content. But in order to get there, you had to just level them all the way up. But on
Right.
Phoenix with 12 times experience rate, I was able to just create all the characters and see what they were like in end game pretty quickly. So
Something that's crazy to
yeah,
me is that, like, I did hear about private servers as early as middle of TBC. Like, there
yeah,
were people that just did not like the changes that came in TBC and were like, dude,
yep,
there's these private servers, but I always just thought of them as, oh, that's gonna be janky. And they
yeah,
told
yeah,
me
yeah,
it was like illegal-ish. Like, I was
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna mess
It's
with it.
illegal. Yeah, in TBC, I joined a server where like you could be super strong, and I could solo Kara because I wanted to see some of the content.
Yeah.
Like I still paid for WoW. I just also would hop onto these like random joke private servers to I was a PvPer, so I was like, oh, it's cool. I can like see Zolomon now.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Like,
like more like a sort of like an exhibition like way. Like,
yeah.
oh, that's what it looks like. Okay, yeah.
There even may or may have not been someone in our guild who spun up a TBC server prior to TBC launch to
Yeah,
look at
we were
things.
really ready for TVC. We had our own little server
Wow.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, the private server like emulation goes back like really far. So yeah, I played there, and then eventually my friends were kind of done with the vanilla one, so they moved over to TBC, which is Phoenix Archangel, and yeah, this was also around the time I got into like video, like making videos for YouTube. Fun story: I did not start YouTube on Hamsterwheel. I actually started on another channel. My first video was uploaded in 2007. That's when I started
Ooh.
getting into YouTube.
Wow.
Yes, and it was a channel focused around Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So
Okay,
Was
I'm down
that
for that.
was
Where is this channel?
was 2000,
Right?
2007 was still
Evan,
the 4-3 era, like
yeah,
before 16:9 basically. For anybody that doesn't
yes,
know what I'm talking about, it's when we went from square screens to widescreen screens.
yeah,
Wait, can
exactly.
we talk about this for a second? It was
Yeah,
roller coasters related?
yes,
Roller
yes.
Coaster Tycoon is a game.
And the channel is
Oh.
still, yeah, it's yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon, like the video game related. It's still up. It's called Moonkin FTW, but the two O's are zeros.
Okay.
So you can look
That
it
is
up.
insane to me. I have a
Yes.
friend who is a druid who has a YouTube channel that is so similar to this. I think it's Boomkin with two zeros for the win or something like that. This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
How close? I guess people weren't that creative back then, but
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this was back when YouTube you weren't allowed to have you had to have a unique name. And literally any combo you would come up with was already taken. So you really had to be creative with the numbers and like whatever. Like, yeah, this is when so you had to have a really unique name. So I had to like mess around with the numbers and everything. So that's when I started YouTube. I started in 2007. And then this was all done with Windows Movie Maker, so extremely basic. But around the time when I started doing private servers, I got more and more into video editing, and I was working with Sony Vegas. I still work with it, and I was
You're
learning
using
things.
Sony Vegas.
Yes.
What? No.
No, I know. It's like I know there's better alternatives out there. It's just I'm
That was
so
I use Premiere
stuck
That's what
with
because
we
it
it.
used to
does so
use.
many things for me
Well,
as a
well, okay, but yeah,
novice.
but I remember I was also doing YouTube like in this time frame, like 2008, 2007. Where it's like Sony Vegas was like the premiere. Like if
Yeah,
you could get a
exactly.
pirated Sony Vegas, you were in the money.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I used to first I used Windows Movie Maker, then I used Pinnacle Studios, which was I hated Pinnacle Studios. And then I discovered Sony Vegas in like 2009, 10, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. I feel like a professional video editor." And I was learning stuff and I was like, if I learn something and I don't actually do something without it, I'm going to forget it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm playing private servers. I can make a few videos about stuff I was doing on private servers. And I started making videos and I was like, okay, I might as well upload it to YouTube. I mean, I don't think anyone will watch it because back then private servers were so, obscure and weird and people thought they were super shady. Not that they're
Yeah.
perfectly fine now. I mean, they're still kind of shady.
Well, someone in our guild. This is just an anecdote.
Mhm.
I forget how he said he got the info, but he said that he was able to get a list of every login in a private server, and then he used those logins on real WoW, and a lot of them were the same
Oh,
logins.
wow.
Wow.
And he used to log into people's random WoW accounts and play their
Oh my
characters.
god. That's
Like,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh
You
my
guys hamster
gosh.
wheels sitting here like I need to change my password, damn it.
That's kind of like me, like when I had my first I was one of the first Jedi in Star Wars Galaxies, and like an idiot, like it was worth so much money and I was so young, and I put it on eBay, but my eBay username was the same username as my
Oh,
blah 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 at yahoo.com that
Oh,
was my
babe.
account login for, and I was one of the first Jedi, so there wasn't a lot of them, so they literally banned me within a second of putting it on eBay. It sold for like $2,500, but I didn't get to sell it, and then I begged them. I was like, please give me my account back, I promise I will not sell it. After a month they gave it back and I didn't sell it. Like I was just like, it was early on, like I learned my lesson hard about selling assets in an
yeah.
online world, because in Ultima Online I basically paid for my way through college by selling
Wow. That's
on,
crazy.
like I would make an account, I would macro it up, I would get it ready, I would sell it on eBay, and it, like, nobody cared, like it was okay, but then like WoW came out and everybody cared, so like
Yeah.
just, yeah, sorry, that was a tangent. I guess
If
Galaxies
we have
was
any
before
super fans
WoW.
out here, if we have any super fans out there, has Bob ever not told a guest that he was a Jedi?
Hey man,
Nope.
it was one of
Listen,
my
I was
big
a
things.
Jedi.
I was one of the first Jedi, not just a
I know,
Jedi.
I know,
Like
I
we're
know.
talking like first
Oh,
100.
we're aware, Bob.
I'm a little bit of a fan. I still remember you guys talking about Nissan Altimas on your podcast.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even know Yip drove one until like that review. That was
yeah.
great.
You gotta get.
Jesus.
Go
Hey,
through.
I can join the Nissan gang. I have a Nissan Skyline, so I was
Nice.
like,
I
yeah.
didn't
Oh.
know. This is I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna because I started. I didn't realize Nissans were such good cars until I bought one. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, they're
I
they're
was like,
they're
because I was
right,
like,
yeah.
oh, Nissan, like whatever, like
Same with
Toyota or something. But once
s-
I got one, I was like, this is like,
same with Hyundai. Hyundai used to be like the poor
Yeah,
man's Honda, and
very
now it's freaking amazing. Like I've loved
yeah.
my Sonata. It's so nice.
I
Yeah,
have a
there used
Jeep.
to yeah. A what?
A Jeep.
Oh, they're nice too. Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And we don't say that in America. No,
What?
go take.
America.
Do you have any doors on your Jeep, Mel?
It's not a Wrangler. I had a
I'm
Wrangler
We
growing
have,
up, right?
both
And
of
I
us have
called it a
owned a
toy
Wrangler
car.
in
I
our
called it a
lives.
toy car because you can just take it apart. And it
Nice.
sounds really cool. It's really not.
Yeah, I got,
Unless you live somewhere where it's like really nice
and you
most of the
just keep the
time.
top off the entire time. So we're like Arizona or California. But I got rid of my Wrangler after finding someone in there trying to hotwire it. That was a fun night.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is true.
But we are
yeah.
tangenting
You know
big
why?
time.
Because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can just
yeah.
take the door off.
We're tangenting
Yeah,
at
I
like
know.
it's like 2 a.m. Hamster wheel. And we're talking about
Oh my
cars.
gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Well,
This is funny.
I have a Skyline. I'm a huge car guy. Are you kidding me? This, but yeah. So, oh yeah, yeah. So I started uploading videos to YouTube, just for the heck of it. And at first I was like, it's getting no views, but I didn't I didn't start YouTube thinking I would make it one day. I mean, if I really wanted to, if I wanted to start YouTube to be famous, I would make private server videos in 2013. It's like
Same.
the
Yeah.
worst thing you can do.
Fair.
Yeah, exactly.
We do a podcast because we love it. It has
Yeah.
gotten big on audio formats, which is cool, but it's
Yeah.
never what we expected. We just did it because we like it. And it's a 15-year-old game. Like the fact that it's in the top 200 list every week on iTunes
Yeah,
just
it's
blows
really
my
nice.
freaking mind. Like of all
And the
games,
fact that Bob was one of the first 200 Jedi.
100,
Yeah.
100.
Sorry, 100. I didn't want to over because I didn't know. I wasn't sure if you were like 113 or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So eventually, I mean, I just kept making videos, and then it just, for some reason, like the next Rammus video really took off. I just, honest to God, I think I said this before on other podcasts, but I wasn't really proud of that video. It was one of the first videos I did with a script. One of the first videos where I talked. So it was like really janky, and again, like researching stuff. I made this in like 2014. So searching stuff from retail next Rammus back then was already like 6 years ago. So it was really rough to find any data.
Oh, I bet.
Um,
Like, and finding off data, like we've dealt with that on this show so much, where we find something like,
Yeah.
and it's literally on like Wow Wiki and Wow Head. They say two different things. And like,
it's
we've actually
so
found
confusing.
the Wayback Machine, and looking at the original post is the best way to actually find stuff out. It's just,
Exactly.
ugh.
It's crazy. Yeah. So I don't know. That video really took off. And then I just started.
Was that the one
I kept making.
titled, Was Naxxramas Actually Hard? I
Yeah,
love that
that was the
video.
one.
I love that video.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Looking back, I'm like, oh my god. You can literally hear me going like smacking my lips multiple times.
Oh,
Like, what
because
are
you
doing?
didn't have the pop filter. Yep.
Yeah, or just it's just I barely did any audio editing and everything. So, but yeah, here
Okay,
we are.
so
Like, yeah.
question. So
Mhm.
did you play Classic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you playing Classic TBC right now?
Nope. No, I
Ah.
quit.
No, he quit a little bit ago. He has a video talking about it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it did.
listen, I don't have a lot of time, but I hear you in the background of Bob's videos that he listens to all the time.
Bob definitely consumes the most WoW content out of the
Yeah.
three of us for
Yeah, I
sure. Bob's a
consume
heavy
as much as I
content
can.
consumer.
Okay.
So do you feel like you just enjoy Classic the most, or do you feel like
He
No,
enjoys
you just
private servers the most. I mean, if you want to talk about that a little bit, you can.
I mean, it's
I mean, if anybody wants to know, he has an entire video where he goes over the points that he like believes private servers are better than Blizzard servers. So if you
I
want
mean,
to check that out, you definitely can. But if you want to say anything, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I have to correct you a little bit.
Sorry.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just about why I prefer playing on private servers. I don't think private servers are objectively better than Blizzard. I mean, you can make arguments for and against private servers. You can make arguments for and against Blizzard. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely
Blizzard
your
don't.
opinion. Sorry, I should have
Yeah.
prefaced that.
No, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, the reason. I mean, it's rough. Like, what is my favorite? Like, I mean, it's really tough. I definitely prefer private servers because they offer a lot more features, and simply because I mean, quitting classic TBC for me, it was partially because I just didn't enjoy it anymore. Partially because the hardcore kind of meta, and back then, of course, the queues were a problem because I wanted to play PvP, which now, of course, is kind of fixed with the mercenary whatever mode. But it was also more out of principle. I mean, I could not. I mean, I can't personally support Blizzard financially anymore. Like, if classic TBC was just a one-time $20 purchase, it's like, yeah, whatever, But it's
Right.
$15 every month. I'm like, I can't do this
Yeah,
anymore.
I
And I
I
wanted
think I
I
to.
could
get that.
Yeah.
convince you to do it if you like switched to Alliance and came on the white main and you
Honestly,
kind of
A whole
incurred that.
new
Like,
world.
yeah, like
honestly,
you could be, somebody over there. Like, I'm
I
just saying.
I totally hear you, but the one thing that has always made me play either classic or private servers that I didn't really want to play on were my friends. The friends that I
Yeah.
raided with way back then in retail vanilla. are still friends I used to play with now, of course, because I don't have Classic TBC anymore. But they're always the people that I followed. So if they went to a Wrath-Lich private server and they picked one that I didn't really like, but they played on it anyway, I was like, okay, fine, I will play that one. And it was just Classic 2. I was like, you know what? It was Classic 2. I wasn't really. I mean, I was excited about Classic returning. Don't get me wrong, it was great. But the reason I kept playing it was partially because of them. And even though they're still playing Classic TBC, I'm like, sorry guys, I gotta take a step back and not play
Yeah.
with you guys anymore. It sucks, but I gotta go back
So
to
I
my
need to
roots.
talk to them, is what you're telling me. I need to
Yes.
convert them to Alliance Whitemane.
Because
Yes.
our
And then we'll be
boomkin is
good.
about to leave, so we
People-
do need a new
No,
boomkin.
no.
Yeah,
Alright,
we
I
really
think-
need a boomkin.
Yeah, I mean, funny story. One of those friends I have that I used to play with in Retail Vanilla, I still play with now. He was actually the guy that suggested I should listen to Warcraft Reloaded.
Ah.
Oh, that's
podcast.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I was talking to him. One time we were hanging out because he also. Do you guys know the Good Morning Azeroth podcast?
Oh,
with,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've been, like, I'm sad that they're probably not going to keep it going. Like, they might have, like,
Yeah.
a reunion or something. But, like, yeah, when that first came out, I was like, oh, yeah.
It was awesome.
And
Yeah,
we've
like-
had all of, like, we've had Def Camp on the show,
Say
Melderon.
it.
Melder almost there not too long ago.
We've
yeah.
had I can't say his name.
Cargos.
No, we haven't had Cargos, but we've had how can say his name for me?
I can't say. I forget. Hold on. How do you say it?
This is because like they always say Dunedain, but it's
Oh, Dunedain. Yeah,
Dune-
yeah, yeah.
But
it's
it's not
actually
Dunedain.
Dunedain is
Dune-
the
Oh, Dunedain.
is the way you
yeah.
is the way you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
so like we've
Oh,
had
he was
him
great.
on. Yeah, we've had a bunch of them on. We love Good Morning Azeroth. I miss it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that was my problem because eventually they just stopped, and I don't know why. I've bugged both Cargos and Meldron like, hey guys, when's the next one coming? Come on, I need my GMA fix. Where are you
Yeah.
guys at?
I know.
And then-
Good Morning Azeroth.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to my friend. I was like, because we were talking about the Good Morning Azeroth podcast. I was like, I'm really bummed out they don't make them anymore. It's like, it's been so long. And then he was like, well, do I have a podcast for you? You should listen to Warcraft Reloaded.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I listened to like one episode, and I like it because it's the right amount of balance between, stuff about World of Warcraft, but there's also enough room for like off-roading, a little bit of riffing, and you guys have that natural chemistry where it's like, okay, this is my new GMA 2.0.
It's casual
We'll
and
take that.
hardcore. Like we look and see what the hardcore people are doing. We're casual, but we are more hardcore than a lot of people, which
We're
yeah,
like in that
it's-
middle ground.
we're like
right
right in that
you
middle
go
ground.
up or down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
Yeah.
I-
yeah.
Sorry
Nope.
if you have more points, but I did want to say it's kind of reversing a little bit. You said that you quit like your friend group. I think more people need to be okay with that. We saw in
Yeah.
Vanilla Classic so many people just like hanging on to playing because of like social obligation as opposed to like I
Yeah,
want to be
yeah,
playing
yeah.
this game. And it's like everyone loves WoW, and now there's just so many incarnations of it that it's like where do I want to play? What do I want to be doing? Like I love WoW, but
Yeah.
do I really want to be playing like 40 hours of TBC a week? So like even if there's stuff to do, I think you still will see like raid logs and stuff like that. But people should be okay with quitting, even if it's cool and exciting that TBC is out. If you're not having fun,
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
like
in the
back in the day I tried to like pressure all my real life friends to like stay in, and stuff like that. And like now I'm just like, if a friend quits, I'm like, hey man, good luck. Like we had a guy just recently, one of our locks, wanted to go to a different guild, and like some people were a little mad about it. I'm not mad about it. Like you do you know what I mean? Like, and it's okay.
Yep.
I'm not like, you don't owe us anything. And so that's kind of how
Right.
where
Okay.
I'm at.
I'm going to interject just gently here.
Ah.
You owe someone a upfront conversation that you are leaving the guild.
That's
you don't
true.
transfer
True.
secretly in the middle of the night.
Oh, is that
Like,
what he did?
yes.
See,
that's what happened
everybody
with-
that does that messages me prior.
No, like the thing is,
And I'm not
we
even an
asked-
officer. They're just saying bye to me.
I don't have a problem with this person. First of all, I have a problem with the way he handled this. but I like this person. But we asked them this week, like within the last 7 days. Well, actually, no, what day is it today? So probably more than 7 days now. But we asked them like a
10
week before
days.
SSD was coming out. Hey, some of your friends have left. Are you staying here? And it's cool if you're not. Like, I just want to know where your head's at. 100%, all good, super good.
No.
We're going forward. And then within a couple of
Wow.
days, disappears in the night and says, "Sorry, I didn't think I would get accepted into this guild or something." And it's like, as officers, that is annoying. I don't think it's like a
really
personal thing.
annoying.
No one likes confrontation, but as officers, having like core raid people disappear overnight is like, so I think that
I mean, you have to think too, though. Like, what would you have done if he said, "I'm on the fence. I'm looking at other places"? Would he have gotten a raid spot?
yeah,
Well, I
but
mean, he was going to get a raid spot because
that's
he
what I'm
was the
saying.
affliction lock. Like, so maybe
But
they
that's what
would have
I'm
tried
saying.
to
You
find
owe
another
somebody.
Affy lock.
Like, okay, so in my mind, in an MMO, we're all hanging out playing a video game together. No matter how
Right.
like serious it gets, we're hanging out playing a video game together.
Yeah.
I think that if you're not having fun, it's okay to tell people. If you're looking somewhere else, I think that socially you are obligated to tell your guild. And if you don't, I think it's okay for people to be upset with you if
Yeah.
you
Okay,
didn't tell them.
let me
Very
true.
reiterate.
I agree.
I
I
feel
agree. You're
like
leveraging.
leaving on the right terms, I feel, is fine.
Right.
Okay.
Leaving is fine. Leaving is fine. I think if you have to leave, I am most if I don't want to say it's full on, but if Harscare wasn't going to remain the guild leader or something or not play TBC, I probably would have left.
I would have left
And Bob and I,
100%.
you and I talked
100%.
about doing something else as well too. So I
Yep.
think there's nothing wrong with leaving, and like, or even just quitting. Like leaving a guild, quitting, it's fine. Just for your officers, be nice for your officers. Tell
Right,
them
it's
that.
like leaving a job, right? Like,
Yeah,
if
it's
you
give them
leave on
2
a
weeks.
one-day notice, like, you're
Yeah.
leaving people in a bind, right? And it's not even, but I do understand on the, devil's advocate side here, where it's like, he says, "I don't know, I'm looking at my options." And you're like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna find somebody to replace you."
But yeah,
So
I'm the
if that
boss.
option didn't work out, then he's kind of shit out of luck, right? Like, and
I get it. I'm the boss that's telling the coworkers that my employees not to tell each other their salaries. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't talk about your salaries
Did you know? Did you know though that that's illegal in certain states?
to say
Because I
that.
do now.
No. I don't think I've ever been told that before. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, I've been told that. Yeah, I've been
Oh, I
told
know
that
that
you're not
now.
supposed to or
That
whatever.
in certain states you're not allowed to regulate who they can talk to because
Yeah, that's been a
discussing
change over the
salary
last like 20 years in different states.
is a right.
Well, how did we get on this tangent
Yeah.
anyway?
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
But I'm really gonna go
I
off if
honestly,
you
I'm
let
not
me
even sure what
continue.
tangent we're on. What are we even?
Well, we got
So
on the
many
tangent
layers of
about
Let's move on.
we got on the tangent of
People
Let's just move
Warcraft
on.
leaving.
Reloaded.
Let's just
We're
move
talking
on.
about
No. It's because
your friend group leaving.
Hamster will quit TBC. That was all it was about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Quitting TBC is a-okay.
Okay, so you don't play classic TBC at all.
No, that's true.
Okay.
And it's funny because one guy, you were reading some comments, reviews basically, and one guy said
Mhm.
it's that your podcast is a great way to stay in touch still with the community, and that's exactly how I feel. I still listen to podcasts because I'm still kind of curious what's going on with classic TBC. I don't play anymore, but I would like to know how it's going. So
Yeah, dude,
yeah, so
Yeah, and
I
you
listened
never
to
know
the
when the next boost is
instance.
coming out.
I listened to the instance for years after quitting at the start of Cataclysm. Just to
Yeah, same.
I listened to the instance and Outlandish podcast for years. Just heard
yeah.
about the pet battles and everything. And I didn't even play at all. Didn't log in at all. So I definitely get that.
I don't want to heart now. We'll talk about this later, but I get the impression that Bob doesn't like pet battles.
No, I was always like wishing I could have done that. Like,
Oh,
Really?
okay.
yeah,
all
I
right.
was. That was one of the things I was like, oh,
It's so,
that sounds
I'm
so
just,
fun.
It's just super harmless is the only thing. It's like whatever.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
it sounded like a fun little mini game you could do. And like back in the day, we used to have Peggle because like it took so long between pulls when you were in progression because everybody's getting everything in line, everybody's talking to who like made a mistake and everything. And so like Peggle was awesome, and I was like, what if you could do pet battles? So
Okay, so if you're not playing classic TBC. Are you playing? Okay, so I guess I know the answer to this because you said you're not paying Blizzard anymore. But what are your thoughts on classic era servers?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I've been kind of following it that classic servers. I think are they officially announced now? Yeah, right.
They
No,
have
no, no,
talked.
like
Announced they're
classic
coming.
era.
Oh,
Yeah.
classic
Classic era
era.
is like our
Oh,
museum.
Yeah. What do you think of
Our
okay,
the
so you don't
museum
mean
servers?
servers.
Yeah, you don't mean fresh. You mean the
No,
pay
not
$15
fresh.
to copy your character to the forever servers.
To the
Oh, to
forever
the
servers.
permanent
Yeah,
classic servers.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure, but like copy your character into like a fresh
Yeah,
classic
so
No,
era.
it's
no,
well, you
No,
can
no.
no,
no.
no,
Like,
no, no.
I
She
want to
wants to
know. I
know
want
what
to
he
know
feels
your
about them.
thoughts on the like.
The ones that are
I
currently
can
there.
copy
Yeah, they're
my.
currently up right now, the classic era ones where people like could either stay with their character or pay to
Mhm.
copy, and then there's just like 20 people online. And we had heard that
Yeah,
there's a single raid group maybe that might still be
yeah,
raiding.
yeah. It's. I don't know what to tell you. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
I'm
completely
interested in the
dead.
other question though. If Classic Fresh comes out,
Yeah, definitely
especially
better
because
question.
what you had mentioned that something you liked about the private servers are the features.
Yeah.
So, are there any specific features you're talking about? Like, do you like some of the maybe like the Classic Plus stuff that might come in, like Barbershop or whatever they might add in to Classic Fresh that will kind of boost the quality
I
of life?
mean, yeah,
Barbershop would bring everybody back. Come on.
yeah, exactly. The barbershop.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of torn on this. I mean, some features would definitely make it better. I mean, I think people would like classic servers without world buffs, or when you enter raid, the world buffs they're removed, so you can only use them as like
Right.
sort of like a fun vanity thing. There's definitely features that I think people would really like. My biggest problem still is it's hosted by Blizzard, and I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest problems in Classic and as of right now, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong because you guys are still playing it, is still the botting. I mean, I think the botting is still pretty much out of control.
Bots
Botting,
are
like,
pretty
okay,
bad.
so open world on PvP servers, from what we've
Yeah.
gathered, really isn't that bad because the other
Okay.
faction can come kill them. So we really just don't see a whole lot of bots like on our PvP server in the open world. We see a ton of them in dungeons, like
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just
the
all over the
economy is
place.
run. The economy is
Yeah.
totally run by bots. But yeah, Outland is such a small zone though. Like the zones are too compact that bots just get killed out in the open world a lot of the
That's
time.
kind of nice.
But
Yeah.
on
And so instead they
PvE
just teleport.
servers, there's like 5
Yeah,
bots in
PvE.
each location.
Yeah, so they go into dungeons like Steam Vaults and they'll just teleport to all the nodes and mine them up for us so we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
they can crash all the prices to the bottom.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest problem with if Blizzard would release new, fresh classic servers. I mean, they might just disable world buffs, they might do this and then that, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if those servers had once again 70 rogues and BRD pickpocketing NPCs, and we've seen
I mean,
that
but
Blizzard are yeah.
how do you solve that, right?
Well, in
Like,
a
I
private
guess
server,
that's
you hit
the
the
Have, like,
ban
question.
button.
Hire a
Yeah,
couple freaking interns to just go in and just
yeah, but
talk to the
I've
people, like,
I've
and
said this
ban them.
before. I've said this
It
before.
seems so
RuneScape
easy.
Classic or RuneScape old school RuneScape, they have someone in charge of specifically botting, right? Like
yep,
this is a dude whose job is that, and they even do fun community streams where they go ban bots and see how much money they had and stuff, and how much they're taking out of the economy and all the mats. Like, wow, Blizzard is a different scale than Jagex, who makes RuneScape, so like it's a little weirder to be like they don't really interact. They don't let people who work at Blizzard interact with the community as much. But that sort of thing, not only does it help show that they are banning bots, but like there's a person whose role it is, so you know that they're working on it. They're like they actually have a show of effort as opposed to just pretending it doesn't exist as an
Well, and I
just
Well,
like
think there's a
Blizzard, basically.
difference.
Okay.
There's a difference between a show of effort and an actual change, right?
Right.
Because you can show effort, which is what they're doing right now, which
yeah,
is ban waves, right?
Yeah.
But an actual change requires a lot more. And I think that we need to be aware of that and understand what that's going to entail. And yes, if they could have a ban master right? They can just
Yeah, bandmaster.
go in
Bandmaster, I
and
like it.
ban everybody, right? Like that's amazing.
And you
But
get a
we
Yeah.
ban,
also
and you
have to
get a
deal
ban, and you the Oprah of banning, and you get a ban, and
Exactly.
you get a
no,
ban,
but we
and you
also
get a
have to
ban.
deal with the realistic fact that we're not going to catch everyone,
No,
right?
of course not. Of course not.
Of
And
course not. But
what
if
can
you
we
make
do
it,
that's the most
okay. So
effective?
Al Sadir in chat says constant bans versus ban waves. The problem with
Correct.
ban waves is they're trying to use automated systems to catch banners and then ban them in waves. The problem is that the botters can make enough money in between the ban
Yeah, that's the
waves
thing.
to
Yeah.
restructure and get right back on top. If you had
Exactly.
constant bans and this person like put some time in, just bought their boost and started botting, and you ban them before they can make any money, then they are down. They are down money. And that's where you could actually stop things. And it's gotta be an ongoing thing, and you need a couple people
Yeah.
just doing it
Sure,
as a
but
job.
but hold on. Is the money that you need to put in to ban all of these
Well, yeah, I'm
bots?
gonna give you
No, no,
your
no.
argument. I hear what you're saying. I think that they actually make more money with the bots, but not from the
Yeah,
bots, from real players too. How many people would have
correct.
quit if if Corium ore was like 50 gold still per ore? How many people
Yeah.
would have just not made
Yeah.
their stuff and quit? As opposed to, I made my
Hmm.
second trinket for my engineering. My first one was like 1,500 gold. This one was like 200
I mean,
gold.
you bring
And it's
like
like, hey,
But what I'm saying
it's
is
uh,
kind of
you
like
can
it's
you
kind of
can
like
ban them
without the
all.
bots, you have to have the coin, and that is definitely a valid argument,
You don't
which
have
is
to have the
sad.
coin. You have to have enough players invested in playing the game and doing professions. And right now, our core base is about min-maxing.
well, no, it's
And
impossible. No, but I'm gonna. It's impossible. What you're suggesting is impossible because bots aren't buying ore, right?
correct.
So there would just be a lack of supply. Like even if you ban all the bots, the prices of stuff would go crazy right now.
Right,
The
but how
reason
many people are actually mining on a regular basis right now?
I mine pretty regularly. I mean, more
Okay,
people would
you
mine. You're right
do.
that if prices went up, more people would mine.
And
Yeah,
more
More
people would
people
make
would
more
mine.
money,
More
allowing them to
people would
buy
earn.
at the higher
More
prices,
people
possibly.
would do the gathering professions, but right now there is no reason for them to do the gathering professions because bots will do it for them. And it's
sure.
almost more beneficial for me to just be alchemy and not be herbalism because herbalism is like, eh,
Yeah.
okay, I'll maybe save 10 silver
Yeah, you
to
Definitely.
make
make
the spot.
more on alchemy just buying it off the auction house at different
Yeah,
prices and then making the stuff and getting procs, double procs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I can see bots being like the number one issue
Yeah.
between because it really is. We're just kind of numb to it at this point, and that's really all it is. And like I said, we're kind of feeding into the whole like it's almost like how we all gave up and we're like, okay, people buy gold. Like everyone's buying gold. We're in
okay,
Nax.
here's the thing though.
So many
Here's the
people are
thing
buying
though.
gold.
I
Yeah,
think
anybody who was
bots are the
casual was buying
issue
gold.
to raid logging. Bots are the issue to raid logging because bots allow me to get on, buy my consumes at a reasonable price, do my raid, and log off. What
True.
happens if we have no bots is that I have to do that on my own. I have to make money on my own somehow outside of raiding, which is why I wouldn't raid log.
I
And
know
I think
how.
that what?
The WoW token.
No,
Yeah.
but
They ban all
but
the
I
bots
don't
when the WoW token comes out.
but I
Yes.
don't think that that's a solution either. Like the reason that we were all upset at the end of like WoW Classic was everybody's raid logging because we're all bored, right? We wouldn't have been bored if we had to like go out and gather things and go out and
I
make
Yeah,
totally
and
money.
agree.
there's no
Well,
reason to go out and gather things with the bots because
Yeah,
the price is so low.
I like
I see
gathering
what you're
things.
saying.
I talked about this a lot. Classic vanilla on white main. You couldn't go do anything in the world. You couldn't go mine thorium out in East. I mean, you could, but you go to Eastern Plaguelands in off hours and you're getting a tiny amount of stuff. You go to farm Fellcloth and there's two bots there. Like there's
Yeah.
always bots in the world at any good spot. And I went to every spot. Like I like making money. I like finding ways to make money by killing stuff and selling stuff and there just wasn't a good way to do it in classic vanilla because of bots, which was a big bummer. So I do agree with Mel. But the question is, people like raid logging. We're all like, so many people are now working adults who don't want to come mine all day, and it's like this weird balance of like, does Blizzard even care about banning bots? Because more people even if they don't want to admit it, are stoked that ore is adamantite ore is 1 gold on white
100%.
main than they
The
are
only
about
people
like
that aren't are the people that are trying to sell it. They're like, God damn it.
yeah
Like, but
yeah.
I guess my question would be like, yeah, bots are a problem, kind of, but they're kind of a solution as well. And at the same time, that's not why people are leaving. People aren't leaving because of the bots, in
Well,
my
yeah,
opinion.
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about why play private servers. And the people who play on private servers aren't going to be the people who are like, I barely have time to play WoW.
Well,
Like,
but
I'm
I
not
mean,
going to
Yeah.
be able.
also private servers oftentimes have like increased XP. So I mean, you can make more characters, you can do more things
True.
with your time.
So it was my intent, like it was my understanding though that the private server people were the ones pushing for no changes.
Well, yeah, but bots not really like a no
No, I'm not
changes.
talking about bots. I'm saying
Oh,
like no changes, but you guys have like 3 times XP,
well,
right?
we talked
Like
about this a couple of times.
Mhm.
I think Meldron brought up a lot when he comes on. He'll like it's like some servers had like paid mounts and stuff on them. Like
Yeah, it was
right.
some
crazy.
private servers were like the private servers I played on were all wacky, goofy private servers, not like holistic, no changes private servers. I think that we, I mean, I don't know. We probably unfairly segmented private server players during vanilla just based on like they want no changes. They're super hardcore. They all want world buffs. They all want a speed run. Like we have
Yeah.
all these like
It,
things that we say private servers do.
it was just basically because I mean, it's hard to speak for everyone, of course. I mean, I'm just one guy. I can't speak for the entire
Yeah.
private server community, but based on what we have seen before with Nestarius and Elysium, we thought like, okay, we just want a 1.12 core without any major changes. Just give us Nestarius, but then paid by Blizzard. That's all you need to do.
Yep.
That's why we were so because it worked, because the stories was very enjoyable and very successful. So we was like, just do that. Don't do Raid Finder. Don't do anything. Just do it like that. That's why many people were probably saying no changes because like we don't want any extra stuff. Just make it like that, and it'll be successful. That's why there was such a push for no changes.
Yeah.
So, and of course,
Yeah. It wasn't driven exclusively from that, but like Bob mentions too, like people don't trust Blizzard to make
Mhm.
these changes. So yeah, like let's no change, but does no changes what does that really mean? Because like a lot of us, and there are
Yeah.
still a ton of private server players still playing TBC. They like a lot of these changes. Like everyone's kind of tired. They're like, okay, some of these changes are fine. Mercenary mode for PvP,
Yeah.
we like these changes all the time.
Yeah, and of
Uh,
course, with the world buff meta, I mean, some people really like it. A lot of people really, really ended up not liking it. So it was just this. I think the no changes mostly was just this kind of like desperate attempt of like, no, don't you dare ruin my precious vanilla. Don't you dare ruin it. It's
yeah.
like this.
Well, I
Right.
mean,
And I
and
think a lot of it was around this just isn't the same game anymore, right? Like
Mhm.
you can put the same game out, different people playing it with a different experience will make it different. And no matter what, you could have put the exact replica of Classic WoW out and it would have been different because you can't replicate our knowledge of being ignorant that a feral druid should have intellect and spirit. Like you can't replicate that. Like that
Yeah.
is just the way it was. And
Yeah.
like we can all sit here and say like, "Oh, but it was this and it was this," but it wasn't. It's just the fact that we have more knowledge now and
Hmm.
we know more now. And
Very true.
now it's still fun even though it's different.
I'm
I don't know.
sold. Mel's right. Keep all the bots.
Oh my god.
You nailed it, Mel.
I
Nah,
mean, there were bots
I
in original vanilla.
There
I
were
mean,
definitely
there,
bots.
there were
there
certainly bots.
There were
there was this
bots,
one
there were
website.
add-ons. Everybody,
Yeah.
like so many people that didn't play vanilla were like, like think that like people that like vanilla didn't like add-ons. Dude, we had add-ons like
Well,
Are you
the
kidding me?
first month. Like
yeah,
we had
that's
add-ons.
what's crazy is I think that, and I could be totally wrong about it, but it's my gut feeling that back in the day, normal players were botting much more, and now it's like exclusively like suicide accounts that are
Right.
made to make money a lot of the time or sell
Yeah.
gold.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
like I'm not
Very
gonna
true.
risk my BattleNet account now.
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
exactly.
but
like, are you
back
out of
in the
your
day,
mind?
there was still like, okay, hypothetically, I had a friend that wanted to have a character to 60 and was able to pay somebody
Oh yeah, a lot of people paid
ten
China.
back
dollars,
then. Yeah,
ten
Yep. Yep.
dollars to boost that character from 5 to 60.
Like basically
that's nuts.
5 cents an hour.
See, that's like I don't remember it ever being that cheap back in the day, but I remember like $100, which $100 compared to back then, it would take you days and days and days of play
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it
Where
was
it's
going to take
like,
you months to
yeah,
get from 5 to 60, and this person would do it for $100. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There
yep.
was this one website I remember. It was called Peons for Hire. That's what it was called. I was getting so much spam for that stupid website in retail vanilla. So that was one thing. And I also had this. I will not mention his name, but he maybe was able to afford his epic mount because he maybe bought some gold one day. So
Hypothetically,
hypothetically, yeah. So I'm just saying it was always there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
definitely
Yeah,
it was
it was
definitely always
definitely.
there.
so
always.
It just wasn't
technically,
as like
yeah,
just like we have evolved, the bots have evolved too.
Well, it's
yeah,
not. It's not. I mean, it's a factor of a ton of things, right? Like a single computer can now run X amount of instances
yeah.
of,
That's
of
very
WoW in order
true.
to do it. Like it costs so
Yeah,
much less in electricity. Internet is so much faster now, so like it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can play on these servers at a reasonable ping. Like there's all these things where, like, I mean, look at like Bitcoin farms. You can do the same thing with WoW bot farms.
yeah,
Like you can have
exactly.
a room that's just like
Well, and
insane.
it's
And
like all the retail bots, however many there are, were able to also classic bot, right?
oh,
They don't
true,
need a new
they're already paying the
subscription. They
subscription.
can like double dip here,
Well,
right? Like they can be like, I'm gonna retail farm, I'm gonna classic farm. Like
I
we
will
got all
say
this going.
that I heard, like, remember in Classic, they put out the WoW token pretty early in China. All those bots just moved over to us,
Of course.
because
Yeah,
it was more profitable back over here, and so like that was a big turn in like how many bots we had too. But we have
yeah.
gotten so off topic though. Just give you a last question. What's the future of your channel?
I don't know. I might go to OnlyFans or something. I don't know.
Yeah, last simple question here. Yes or no? What's the future?
Yeah, what's the future? I mean,
I mean, what's your passion,
my
Hamsterwheel? I guess that's what I want to know. What's your passion? Like, do you I know you've stated you're not worried about viewers, at least in the initial part, right? Like it was
yeah,
like I did it because I love it. And I appreciate the fact that you quit classic TBC because you didn't love it. And if
yeah,
you don't love it, then why do it? Like, don't just
exactly.
make content to make content. But what do you feel like you want to do in the future? Do you think that WoW is like where you're at, or do you want to do more? Do you enjoy other games? Do you want to like expand?
That's tough, man. It's really tough. I don't know. I've actually I tried to branch out one time. It didn't work. It was horrible. It not necessarily the views. I mean, if your video gets no views, it does something with you. I mean, you could say like
Right.
views don't matter at all. It matters something. I mean,
It
if you
does.
yeah, it does. I mean, if your podcast gets a lot of views, then like it's kind of gives you this good feeling. Hey, yeah, we're doing
Hmm.
something right. People are
Yeah.
Right.
listening, and it's the same with my videos. I don't know. I think I will just for now it's really rough because I've had so many moments where I was like, because of private servers too, I could play any expansion. I was like, okay, now I've done everything I wanted to do. And I still found something that I wanted to do again. And I've had so many of those moments over the years where I'm like, I don't think I'll ever get bored of this game.
So
So
next stop, Warrior.
yeah, maybe or something crazy like that. I mean, when I started WoW, when I started private servers in 2012, I would have never thought I would be doing a leveling series on a Mist of Pandaria private server. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't know. There's just so much. There's so many expansions, and within that expansion, there's so many different types of classes and specs that you can play. You almost never ever run out of content, and I'm a very like creative person. So even when like I'm the type of guy that will just be able to play a game for like way longer than the average person plays because I was able to find some new way to play that game or find some like side quest or whatever.
We
So
need to hook you up with Kim, and you can do a video on his like Smite pre-spec
yeah,
that he's like so into.
yeah.
He is for sure thinks it's a go.
He's Shadow now.
Okay.
Oh, you fall into the
Only
dark
because
side,
he was pushed
unfortunately.
that way. He would rather be Smite pre-spec.
Yeah,
I'm
unfortunately, our
just saying.
25 man has no room for a Smiter spec.
Yeah, exactly. It's rough. Yeah, but so I think for now I'll just stick with making videos about World of Warcraft.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't think I'll branch out. To be fair, like my problem is also I have other hobbies and I have my social life, I have a girlfriend and everything, and I work full time. So there's not much time to play games. So the little
Yeah.
time I have, I want to play World of Warcraft because I combine that with my YouTube channel. It's like there's literally I have games on I have some sort of like a games to play list. Like there's games out there like
It's
the
never
original
ending. It just
the
keeps
original
getting
Mass
longer.
Effect. Like I've never played that one. Like games from literally like 10 years ago. I still need to play them. Like
I don't know if
It's
the
because WoW's
rework
occupied your life.
is
yeah.
good because I haven't played that, but if you're playing the OG Mass Effect, it doesn't hold up really well. Just start on 2. Like, I mean,
Okay. All right.
but
Well, if I
like I
ever
don't
get
know, the
to,
remake might actually be really good. But yeah, I've definitely got some games that I need to get back into. Like TBC came out, and didn't. I just didn't finish Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm just still at
yeah,
like almost the end, and just now I don't even
exactly.
remember how to play.
Hey,
All right,
And
well,
hey,
I was,
can I finish it out with one
all right.
question?
yeah.
You gotta do it fast though, because we're over
What is
time.
your favorite memory of classic WoW?
Oh,
My
that's a
favorite
good one.
memory. Okay, so I think the one with the balance route comes pretty close. I think my most favorite memory is okay. So you have Zul'Gurub, and in Zul'Gurub you have High Priestess Arlok, which drops a staff, the healing staff,
Mhm.
the Will of Arlok. This staff, again, this is again, I didn't know nothing about stats or whatever. I mean, it's a pretty good druid staff, but to me that was like the staff. It would look awesome with this giant cobra. And one of the first times I was running ZG with my friends, they were I don't know, I think they already had Atlas loot or Thoughtbot or whatever they used. And they mentioned like, hey, we're gonna do this boss now, and they're gonna drop this staff. So they linked me to Thoughtbot or whatever. And I looked at the staff, I was like, oh my god, this thing's amazing. And then the drop chance was like it's like very low. It's like 2 or 4%. It was very
Right.
low. And the staff dropped. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get it." At least that's what in my mind I was already wearing it, but of course I wasn't the only one.
Yeah. No.
And it went to a priest, which was
Oh
yeah,
no!
I know. Which even
Oh.
back then people already knew. Well, they can get benediction, but for some reason the priest got it, and I was like, "Oh my god." I wouldn't say mad. I was just bummed out. I was like, "Oh my god, I really wanted that staff." So, but I
Nice.
then after I was like,
That's your
"Okay, I'm
favorite
gonna."
memory?
No,
There's
no, no.
more. There's more.
This is more the story.
Okay.
I vouched to myself that I would get the staff no matter what it takes. So every week when Zul'Gurub was on the roster, even though I didn't anything, I went there because I wanted the staff. Every time we got to that boss, I got like really excited, like really, and then it didn't drop. And it was like that over and over and over. It just wouldn't ever drop. And after like literally months of doing Zul'Gurub, this I was I was raiding, we got to the boss, it finally dropped. But there was a problem. There was a shaman that wanted it. Now, of course, again, yeah, I know. Now we think it's worth it for shamans, but back then we didn't know. We just didn't know. It was like it had healing. Shaman was resto. Put two and two together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaman. And then, so it was between me and him, and we were both good raiders. We had good attendance, so it was a coin toss basically. And again, I was like getting so like, oh, it's gonna happen again. And then that guy knew I wanted the staff badly, so he was like, "Hey man, it's okay, I'll pass. You can have it."
Oh, that's so good.
And
That's so nice.
Hallelujah.
and
Isn't
I
that
wish,
like I feel like that emulates the whole feeling of
yes,
classic, which is like community and like friendship,
exactly,
right? Like
yes,
we were so much closer when we were doing 40-man raids. Once
Yeah.
we went to TBC, we went to 10-man raids and like once a week, 25-man for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, we all hate
It's
each other
like
now.
we like
yeah,
no, we just don't like
We don't
interact
talk.
as much,
Yeah.
right? Like we don't talk as much. And like when you're doing 40-man raids, it's like, oh my God, I know this person has been vying for this for so long. Like,
yep,
you got this. Like,
exactly.
that's yours. Like, it's a family. I don't know.
Yeah, I stupidly on my druid, my first Karazhan, I pugged with a guild and Grips of Deafness dropped, and I should have just stolen them, but I let one of their raiders have it. I was like, should have just taken them. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
You know, I
So,
also I haven't mentioned on this podcast, probably because I wasn't here last week. I did win a DST, and I gave it up to
nice.
100. All
You
right,
did.
I'm a
You
warrior
did.
tank.
He
Oh.
I
passed
won
it.
it. I won it by 1. I rolled 89. I think it was 89 or 88, 87,
89,
86,
88, 87.
87. So
Like,
that's
yeah.
that's how our DST went, and that's how I gave it to the second person. So
Wow.
Yep.
I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. He'll
That's awesome,
probably
though.
return the favor sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, it was also the person who I started playing Classic WoW with,
Oh,
who's
yeah,
a
that's
hunter,
pretty
so
cool.
it was a
Yeah.
little biased, but
Yeah, I just wish I remember the shaman's name. I just don't
gotta
remember.
look him up, find him.
Yeah,
and
I
give him
mean, if for some super weird coincidence he's watching, I would just like to say thanks.
I'll
Enjoy
Right.
it.
find him,
If
like
I
the
ever, yeah,
Dinobot
if
video.
I gotta find him and buy him a beer or something or whatever, like that was. So yeah, I think that was probably my most favorite.
In perspective of like vanilla classic now, though, that's like for that, you know,
I
it's like
know it's like for that stupid
that's what's
thing.
so it's so good that it's just like a random item that
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
this was your precious item you're
But it's
buying
been
for.
so long trying to get it, right? Like, it
Yeah,
was so huge. Like,
yeah.
God,
I-
could he lose it
those
again?
are good.
Like,
It
that
just
Those
would
are
have
shows
been
good.
like,
how.
if you would have told the story and you were like, and then the shaman got it, and then I
Yeah.
had to spend another.
But it just shows how garbage I was because first I spent so much time getting the warden staff and then the will of Arlok. Like what
Hold on,
druid was I?
well, I
Too
guess you weren't a
bad.
tank druid, but
Yeah,
a lot of tank druids thought Warden Staff was like insanely good
Yeah.
in Classic. And I remember the same guy I just gave DST to, he got a Warden Staff in like Sunken Temple and sold it for like 400 gold in like the
Yeah.
third week of or second week of Classic, which is like, what?
Ridiculous.
What the heck?
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We saw one drop in Zol Garub like early on in Classic, and I didn't win the roll. And I told the people I was pugging with about.
Zolfarok.
So yeah, Zolfarok. Sorry.
I was Overrock, yeah.
And I told the people I was pugging with that I equipped it on my original mage, and they were laughing at me.
I haven't heard that story. That's a really funny story. The mage.
But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna end it out here, guys. I don't know if this is gonna be a 2-episode week because this might be our longest episode besides the Josh Corbett one.
Wow.
I blame
Launched
you.
it.
All right, so does anybody have an add-on of the week?
I'm a talker. I wasn't here last week. Yeah, so not an add-on.
All right, hold on.
Oh wait, right. I forgot.
Do you
All
have
right,
one?
let's move into the add-on of the week.
If you're rating Serpentshrine Cavern and Tempest Keep like we are, you absolutely want a weak aura that has everything in it. So we can link the one specifically that we're using, but there's a couple of them I think on like anywhere. You can just search SSC/TK. There are plenty of weak auras that do it, but it's so useful. Like we're doing trash, and then half the raid like is just yelling about how ads are about to spawn and stuff. Like it's just it's doing all the things that like you wish DBM was giving you info on, that you're just not going to get from DBM. So the weak auras are
It's
really, really useful.
It's like we had the bad mushrooms, and then all of a sudden we had good mushrooms. You're like, no, it says stay in.
Yeah.
It says stay in.
Yeah, like the weak aura says get in. The weak aura says get in them.
The weak aura says go, 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 go. I feel like every add-on that we have is like, hey, we could have an add-on, but there's a weak aura for this. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, weak
like,
aura is just
it's
really
either
powerful.
Dems
I don't know
or
if the week should be
Vems.
weak aura of the week now, right?
Well,
like,
I mean, basically, I mean, there's only so many add-ons that are going to be super useful,
Right.
but weak auras you can do so many specific things with. Like we don't need someone to develop a new add-on raid tier that comes out. But there are weak auras, and I think a lot of people don't know what kind of powerful weak auras there are out there. And if you don't play retail, you might not realize how good you could get. Like I feel this way about myself. I don't use any like informational weak auras right now in classic because I kind of think that's fun. But if I had like giant pop-ups of cooldowns and stuff, that stuff is so useful. Just having all that extra information, like this is about to come off cooldown, it'll light up bright whenever you can hit shield slam again. Like you just have all that information. Weak auras is super powerful, so it's good to point out some of these weak auras over add-ons. So
yeah,
Yep,
for sure.
yep. All right, well, let's end it out. So don't forget to follow us on.
Who knows where?
So don't forget to follow us on Warcraft. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WCR.
It's early, Bob. It's early. You should
You're
be
gonna
able
get
to.
it.
Yeah,
You're gonna
this
get it.
this
We
is what
should
you
just
get
give
on
up.
the live version. This won't be on the audio version, but don't forget to follow us on WC Reloaded on Twitter. You can also follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us something a little bit longer, send your emails to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to interact with us on our Discord, it's mash.gg/discord. Make sure to ping us. That's all I got to say. How can you help the podcast? Well, you could do what Hamsterwheel's friend did and tell your friends about the podcast. That is the best way. If you want to yell at it at Walmart, that's cool too. Like I love Warcraft Reloaded.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, it could work. They might Google it.
It's
So
weird.
but yeah, and then ratings and reviews, you guys kill it every week. We almost have at least a review every week. We appreciate them all. They warm our hearts and they, make this all worthwhile. And so, yeah, leave us reviews on Apple or on warcraftradio.com/directory. All right, where can we find you, Ryan?
Hi, you can find me on Twitter at Cognitive Pit or on YouTube, youtube.com/Cognitive Pit. And I want to make a quick shout out again to Moonkin FTW. I feel like we just slid this in here, but this is a channel with 4.6 million views of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh,
This is
wow.
a pop. This is a poppin' channel. This isn't like some small. And these are good. If you like roller. This is like a real channel of videos.
You
Like,
guys,
That's
I
awesome.
thought it was like actual roller coasters, and the only reason I say that is because Bob really wanted to do something like out of the box, and he's like, "Hey, let's go to World's Fun," which is this like roller coaster theme park, right?
Nice.
And I was like, "But you don't like roller coasters, Bob. What are we gonna do there?" And he's like, "No, there's so much else to do there." And I was like, "Really? Okay." So we go there. There's literally nothing else to do. We rode 3 rides, and the others, I was like, "What about that one?" And he's like, "Oh, you go backwards and like upside down. Nope, nope."
Nope.
I'm like, "Why are we here? Why are we here?" Oh,
Oh,
wow, this is
Jeff.
cut. This is so cut from the audio.
yeah.
Mel,
Freaking
where
Bob,
can we
look-
find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mel Overwatch, or you can find me in game at Melrina or Arielina.
Awesome. And Hamsterwheel, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube. Just type in Hamsterwheel and just ignore all the hamster-related videos you'll see and scroll to the actual video game channel because that happens a lot.
Don't Google hamster tape. Just hamster wheel. I'm actually going to cut that. And you can find
What
me
is
on.
hamster tape?
don't know.
You don't even want to know. And you can
Yeah, I
find.
don't.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. And I did stream this last first attempt on SSC on twitch.tv/BlazinBob. All right, guys. It's
Don't
been an
watch that.
epic episode. Let's get out of here.
Bye.
All right. Should we raid
Also, don't Google that.
Yeah, dude.
Now, I have to Google hamster
What?
tape
It's
and
so
see
gross.
what the hell that is.
It's so gross.
At first, I looked it up and it was hamster tapestry, and I was like, "Well, this is cute." Then I searched hamster tape as 2 words, and it was just tape with hamsters on it. So it was really fine for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just hamster tape on Urban Dictionary is the worst thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I should have said it.
See on episode
Who should we
50,
I'm trying to see who to raid.
16.
Let's just raid Uber.
Hamster tape Etsy.
Uber. Let's see. Who's on for me? I know it's bad to have 2 separate categories, but not being able to tell if people are playing
What?
retail or classic is like very annoying.
What? Bob.
What?
Why do you even know that?
Yeah, you need to have a talk with your husband after.
Because it was a big Richard Gere scandal, like way back in the day, where supposedly it happened.
First of all,
No.
It turned out to be a lie, but like it was
No. Are we still streaming?
We are about to hit raid now. All right, raid's over. Oh my gosh, I don't even know why I said that. All right, we are.
All right, yeah, we're not